za kaunti. Aidha, kamati ya bunge lote itachunguza mswada wa kurekebisha sheria ya utoaji kandarasi ambayo ilitayarishwa na mbunge wa Juja Francis Waititu. Namwona pale naibu spika Moses Cheboya akiingia na tayari kuongoza wabunge katika maombi.
Almighty God, wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people. We beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to performance of important trust in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled. Grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberations in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Honorable members, we are just short of the required quorum, and therefore I order the bell to be rung for 10 minutes.
Kwa tathmini yake ameangalia kwamba idadi ya wabunge haijatosha na kuagiza kwamba kengele ikirizwe kwa dakika 10 ili kuwapa nafasi wabunge ambao hawajaingia kuingia ukumbini ili kikao kwanza rasmi. Kwa hiyo hicho ndicho kinachoendelea kwa sasa, ili wabunge wazidi kuingia ndani kwenye ukumbi na kikao kianze baada ya dakika 10 kama idadi hiyo itakuwa imefika viwango ambavyo vinahitajika, ambavyo ni wabunge 50, msikilizaji na mtazamaji wa KBC Channel 1. Kumbuka kwenye microphone ni mie wako Samuel Msita, na nakusi tuandamane sako kwa bako moja mwa matangazo haya moja kwa moja kutoka bunge la taifa. Na jioni, msikilizaji, kama unavyojua bunge la Senate lika kaunti ya Kitui, pia utakuwa unapata matangazo haya moja kwa moja kutoka kaunti hiyo na mwenzangu Tilio Marco kutoka sehemu hizo. Ni Senate mashinani, lakini kwa sasa ni mie wako Samuel Msita kukuendeshea matangazo haya moja kwa moja kutoka bunge hili la taifa. Bado tunazidi kusubiri tu hapa idadi ya wabunge kujaa, wabunge 50, ili kikao kung'oa nanga rasmi. Na awali nimekuwa nikikudokolea tu kiduchu yale ambayo yameratibishwa leo katika orodha hii ama shughuli za leo za bunge hili la taifa, na ni kwamba vile kamati ya bunge lote inatarajiwa kudurusu mswada huu wa kunradhi msikilizaji, ni kwamba vile kamati ya bunge lote inatarajiwa kudurusu mswada huu wa ugavi wa fedha zilizotengewa serikali za kaunti. Aidha, kamati ya bunge lote itachunguza mswada wa kurekebisha sheria ya utoaji kandarasi ambayo ilitayarishwa na mbunge wa Juja Francis Waititu. Mswada mwingine ni wa mbunge wa Kiambu Jude Njomo wa kurekebisha sheria ya sekta ya benki. Mswada huu unakusudia kurekebisha kifungu cha 30B cha sheria ya benki ili kubainisha na kueleza bayana kuhusu mikopo na riba zinazotozwa ili kuepusha utata wa aina yoyote katika utoaji mikopo na ulipaji riba za mikopo. Vile kuna mswada wa mbunge wa Kiharu Ndindi Nyoro. Mswada huu unakusudia kurekebisha sheria ya kukabiliana na ufisadi na uhalifu wa kiuchumi wa mwaka 2003 ili kuratibu adhabu kali zaidi kwa watu wanaotekeleza vitendo vya ufisadi na uhalifu wa kiuchumi. Kwa sasa mtu anayehukumiwa kwa ufisadi utozwa faini isiyozidi shilingi milioni 1 ama kifungu kisichozidi miaka 10 ama hukumu zote mbili. Naye mbunge wa Gilgil Martha Wangari amewasilisha mswada wa kurekebisha sheria ya ajira. Lengo kuu la mswada huu ni kurekebisha sheria ya ajira ya mwaka 2007 ili kuwapa likizo wazazi wanaotuma maombi ya kuasili watoto ambao sio wao kwa kuzaliwa. Kuasili, msikilizaji ama mtazamaji wetu wa KBC Channel 1, ni adoption kwa lugha ya Kiingereza. Mswada mwingine kwenye ratiba ya leo ni wa mbunge wa Mandera Kaskazini Bashir Abdullahi kuhusu kubuniwa kwa bodi ya mauzo ya mifugo na bidhaa za mifugo. Naye mbunge wa Kitui ya Kati Benson Makali Mulu amewasilisha mswada wa kurekebisha sheria ya hazina ya serikali ya taifa ya ustawi wa maeneo bunge. Mbunge wa Starehe Charles Njagwa Kanyi amewasilisha hoja ambayo inahimiza kupunguzwa kwa umri wa kustaafu kwa maafisa wa utumishi wa umma kutoka miaka 60 hadi 50 ili miongoni mwa masuala mengine kubuni nafasi za ajira kwa vijana. Kadhalika kuna hoja ya mbunge wa Kirinyaga ya Kati John Munene wa Mbugu ambayo inahimiza Wizara ya Elimu kuweka mikakati kabambe ya kuhakikisha mpito wa 100% kutoka shule za sekondari hadi vyuo vya elimu ya kadri.
Order members. We have quorum and therefore business will begin.
Na idadi hiyo isha timia, msikilizaji na mtazamaji wetu wa KBC Channel 1.
Honorable Sankok, what is it? Take your seat and I'll give you an opportunity later.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages.
On that particular order, we will be having a message, but I will step it down and then do it after we finish order number 7, and I'll give the message. So let's proceed.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The majority whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the Leader of Majority, I beg to lay the following paper.
Order, Honorable Elisha and Serone. Order. Order, members. Let's listen to the majority whip in silence.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think there's a problem with the communication system. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, September 18th, 2019, morning sitting. 1, the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements in respect of the following constituencies for the year ended 30th June 2018 and the certificates therein. Kaspul constituency, Narok South, Baringo Central, Belgut, Korsoi South, Korsoi North, Bahati, Kapkelion East, Kapkelion West, Sigoet Soin, Kabondo Kasipul, Buret, Karsen, Nakuru Town East, Fafi, Cherengani, Bumula, Shinyalu, Mandera East, Sabatia, Lamu West, Bomet Central, and Keyo North. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Gladwell Cheruyot, member for Baringo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That aware that disclosure of information about previous criminal convictions through a police clearance certificate has long been considered an important safeguard for employers and various organizations seeking individuals to serve in positions of trust. I'm concerned that the police clearance form includes cases that are pending before court, thus going against the principle of Article 50, Clause 2 of the Constitution, which provides for the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Further concerned that the bureaucratic manual procedure of acquiring criminal clearance certificate and consequently denies in erroneous information on the police clearance, cognizant of the fact that in Kenya, sorry, Mr. Speaker, sir, let me repeat, concerned that the police clearance form includes cases that are pending before court, thus going against the principle of Article 50, Clause 2 of the Constitution, which provides for the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. Further concerned that the bureaucratic manual procedure of acquiring criminal data and laxity in updating the records results in erroneous information of the police clearance certificate and consequently denies applicants employment opportunities. Cognizant of the fact that in Kenya, based on the administrative directive from 1990, criminal records are waived after a term of 20 years, except for serious offenses such as murder, robbery, manslaughter, rape, defilement, treason, or drug possession, which remain as permanent records. Noting that research has shown a clear nexus between crime and poverty, and that a criminal record remains a permanent barrier for young people looking for employment, as this will be shown in the police clearance form, which will perpetuate the cycle of poverty. This House therefore urges the Directorate of Criminal Investigation to leverage on the use of information communication technology, that is ICT, to ensure criminal data availed in police clearance forms is accurate and up to date. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, sir.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Okay. Honorable members, we do not have statements, so I will go straight to questions, and we'll start with a question by private notice by the member for Saboti, Honorable Caleb Amisi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the following questions to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and the Physical Planning. And number 1, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the status of ownership of land reference number 11437, also known as Mengo Farm, in Saboti constituents of Trans Nzoia County, and the current occupants? Number 2, what steps has the Ministry taken to ensure the current occupants who have been on the farm since 1970 are not evicted based on illegal documents, false claims, or by abuse of court proceedings? Question 3, when is the Ministry subdividing the land for the sake of issuing title deeds to the current occupants? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, that will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Lands. Then we go to the ordinary questions, and we'll start with the Honorable Elisha Ochieng Odhiambo, the member for Gem.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to ask question 386 of 2019, directed to the Cabinet Secretary of National Treasury and Planning. Roman 1, what is the status of issuance of the new currency notes? Roman 2, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the measures put in place to ensure smooth and easy transition from the use of the old currency notes to the new ones? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. That will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. The next is, would have been Honorable Benjamin Mwangi, member for Embakasi Central, but I have received a request to defer it and I comply. I will defer it to the next available opportunity. So we'll go to member for Kamukunji, Honorable Yusuf Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I raised to ask question 401/2019 to the Minister for Cabinet Secretary for Environment and Natural Resources. His Excellency, the President Uhuru Kenyatta, launched the National Tree Planting Campaign in my constituency on the 12th of May, 2018. Since then, we haven't had much about this campaign from the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources. I would therefore like to ask the Cabinet Secretary, how many trees have been planted per county since this campaign was launched by the President, which was aimed at increasing the country's tree cover by 10%? What is the current percentage of tree cover in the country vis-a-vis the targeted cover? 3, how have funds that had been allocated for this particular purpose been utilized, both in the campaigns and in the actual tree planting activities? Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. That one will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. So the next one will be by the Honorable Member for Meru County, Honorable Bishop Kawira Mwangaza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask question 402 of 2019, directed to the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government. Is the Cabinet Secretary aware of the increased cases of insecurity as a result of cattle rains in Mura, Kamwerine, and the Amwadi areas in the Gembe North and the Kandebene area at the border of Tigania East and Tigania West, Meru County, where many people have suffered huge damages, including loss of their lives, properties, and livelihoods, as well as displacement of families from their homes? Could the Cabinet Secretary consider establishing more police stations in the said areas, increasing the number of police officers and reservists, and providing additional patrol vehicles and other facilities and equipment to curb insecurity in the country? What steps is the ministry taking to ensure lasting security and peaceful coexistence among the communities in Meru County and other neighboring counties? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That one will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security. And before we go to the next order, I am going to revisit order number 3, which I had promised that I will do it at the tail end after order number 7. So, honorable members, pursuant to provisions, this is the message, honorable members, and honorable members, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 41, I wish to report to the House that I have received a message from the Senate regarding its passage of the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019. Honorable members, the message reads in part, and I quote, "The Senate considered and passed the said bill on Tuesday, September 17, 2019, with amendments. The amendments made by the Senate relates to the commencement of the bill in Clause 1 and on its schedules. The Senate now seeks to the concurrence of the National Assembly on the said bill in accordance with provisions of Article 111 of the Constitution. Honorable members, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill is an annual legislation introduced in accordance with provisions of Article 218 of the Constitution with the objective of equitably allocating the share of national revenue amongst the 47 counties. Given the urgency of the passage of this bill, and in furtherance to the provisions of Standing Order 124-2A, the House Business, at its sitting yesterday evening, resolved that the bill be prioritized for consideration by the House in all stages this morning. Honorable members, may I also take the opportunity to remind the House of the provisions of Article 111(2) of the Constitution, which provides the voting threshold for amending a special bill. And I quote, "The National Assembly may amend or veto a special bill that has been passed by the Senate only by a resolution supported by at least 2/3 of the members of the National Assembly." A county allocation of revenue bill is a special bill concerning the county governments in terms of Article 110(2)A Roman 2, and this implies, therefore, that any amendment proposed in this House on the bill shall require to be supported by at least 2/3 of all members for it to pass. This House should be accordingly guided. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion. Exemption of business from the provisions of Standing Order 43.
Leader, Majority Party.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House orders that the business appearing as order number 9, 11, 12 Roman 1 in the order paper be exempted from the provisions of Standing Order 40, subsection 3, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or the minority party or business sponsored by a committee. The Speaker, this is a very, very important morning this morning, because yesterday the President assented to the Division of Revenue Bill, and the Senate, in their wisdom, in what they call Senate machinani, passed on the county allocation of revenue, which divides the 378 billion allocated in the Division of Revenue among the 47 counties. And the Minister for Finance cannot disburse the money he promised on Friday until we pass this bill and assented to this afternoon by His Excellency the President before he leaves tonight for New York to attend the UNGA annual conference at the UN headquarters. So we have decided that we use the time of the private members this morning. We finish with the CARA bill and then send it to the government printer over lunchtime, and then the President can have an opportunity to sign it so that the county governments can access resources beginning Friday. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it's important, but we will discuss more what the Senate yesterday discussed. Instead of discussing the CARA, they were discussing the National Assembly. But that we will discuss when we reach the second reading of the CARA bill. So I beg to move and ask Honorable Chris Wamalwa to second.
Honorable Dr. Wamalwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second this bill, procedural motion. And Mr. Speaker, it's indeed true that today, being a Wednesday morning, business is made for the private members. And because of the critical issue about funds going to the counties, it's in order that the House Business Committee decided that today we must prioritize this bill, Mr. Speaker. As we know very well, yesterday the Division of Revenue Bill was actually assented. And now it gives room for this money to be sent to the counties. And of course, money cannot be sent to the counties, Mr. Speaker, without passing this bill from the Senate, the County Revenue Allocation Bill, Mr. Speaker. And as we move forward, Mr. Speaker, we're also calling upon our governors, wherever they are. As this money goes to the counties, we want delivery to the people. Some of them, Mr. Speaker, have prioritized corruption. We want accountability, Mr. Speaker. I was just reading today's paper, and I was looking at the ranking of the performance of some counties. And I'm sorry to say, the counties, we've seen some governors who have been there the second time, and they're still being number last. Like the governor from my county, Mr. Speaker, I saw he's still number last. When you repeat a class, we expect you to improve and move forward. But now it seems these governors, they've been advocating for money, Mr. Speaker, but when it comes to performance, there's nothing that you can see on the ground, Mr. Speaker. So we are calling upon honorable members, we pass this procedural motion so that the money can go to the counties immediately, so that we can have service delivery to our great people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I second.
Order, members. I propose a question. Order, members. I propose a question which is that this House orders the business appearing as order number 9, 11, and 12(1) in the order paper be exempted from provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by majority or minority party, or business sponsored by a committee. I put the question, which is that this House orders that the business appearing as order number 9, 11, and 12(1) in the order paper be exempted from provision of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by majority or minority party, or business sponsored by a committee. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So we go to the next order.
Order number 9, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the equitable allocation of revenue raised nationally among the county governments for the 2019-2020 financial year, and the responsibility of national and county governments pursuant to such allocation and for connected purposes. Order number 10, the National Government Constituencies Development Fund Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 58 of 2019, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the National Government Constituencies Development Fund Act 2015 and for connected purposes. Order number 11, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019, second reading.
Is it the chair of budget moving this one? Yes. So proceed and move it. And it should be clear to Kenyans, therefore, that what we have just done is to fast track this particular matter, that it will end this morning. Maybe what you would do for the time, let's see if it will work when I switch off from this direction and see if yours is working.
It's working. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019, be now read a second time. Honorable Speaker, as you have rightly said, what we have just done with the procedural motion moved by the Leader of Majority was to fast track so that this County Allocation of Revenue Bill, which was finalized by the Senate Mashinani yesterday from Kitui County, we are able to finalize with it, hopefully this morning, Honorable Speaker, to enable the national government, or rather the National Treasury, to disburse, according to the schedule attached to the bill, Honorable Speaker, monies now to the county governments. Honorable Speaker, I don't need to say a lot on this County Allocation of Revenue Bill, because a lot more was said during the debate for the Division of Revenue Bill in terms of what we expect from our county governments, but only to re-emphasize, Honorable Speaker, that as the National Assembly and the Budget and Appropriations Committee, we are more than committed to ensuring that our counties receive the monies due to them at the right time without any undue delay. And of course, Honorable Speaker, we regret the delays in disbursement of funds to our county governments occasioned by the disagreements on the Division of Revenue Bill, which we finalized with. And as I said yesterday, I wish to take this opportunity to thank the President for signing again, as I said yesterday, the correct version of the bill. Because I heard from Kitui yesterday, Honorable Speaker, the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee in the Senate purports that we altered the date when the Division of Revenue Bill was deemed to become effective. But Honorable Speaker, I think, and I tabled a copy of the Hansard of the Mediation Committee meeting, and it's clear. And Honorable Speaker, it's only good that as leaders we remain truthful to the people of Kenya, because records are there, Honorable Speaker. The Mediation Committee meeting was not only covered by our Hansard department in Parliament, Honorable Speaker. Both audios, videos are there, and even it was an open meeting, Honorable Speaker, with members of the press in that meeting, present in that meeting. So when the chair in the Senate purports that the amendment was casually introduced in the meeting, one wonders how are serious amendments introduced and how are casual amendments introduced. And there was a vice chair seated next to me, Honorable Speaker. And when the legal officer explained the genesis or the import of that amendment, he consented and said, okay, there are not less than 7 senators out of the 9 who are charged to sit in the mediation committee in that meeting. And they all consented by keeping quiet. And I think we are told that silence means consensus. Yes. Because in a meeting, if you do not agree with any amendment that has been proposed, you simply raise up your hand or rise on a point of order, catch the chair's attention, and Honorable Speaker, I can confirm to the honorable senators, at my age, my eyesight and my vision is still very good. At least within the precincts of County Hall, I could be able to notice any senator who intended to oppose that particular amendment. None of them, Honorable Speaker, opposed the amendment to change the commencement date. And therefore, it was passed as proposed, and that is what we signed against. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, let it be on record that it is the chair, Budget and Finance Committee in the Senate, Senator Mahmoud, who sought to alter the report and the bill as passed by the Mediation Committee. And he called me over lunchtime, Honorable Speaker, when I was in the gym, very busy in the gym. And you bear me witness, Honorable Speaker, because I was with you in the gym that afternoon.
I don't go to the gym, so I do not know what you are talking about. And again, I don't want you to be very agitated, the chair budget. You know you are in the National Assembly. Proceed.
Put on the mic, Honorable Speaker. I think, Honorable Speaker, you know, you are bound to get agitated when you see senators in some county assembly somewhere in Kitui purporting that the date was amended in this house. Well, they know the facts. If they were sleeping in the mediation committee meeting, at least they could go back to the Hansard, or simply ask members of the press who were seated in, who were covering the meeting, since it was an open meeting, of what transpired in the meeting. But I think what I wanted to be on record, Honorable Speaker, is that in this house, we are people who stick to our rules and procedures, that we cannot alter anything that has been passed by resolution in a meeting, in a mediation committee meeting, outside through phone calls from the gym and him. I don't know where he was, because I only disclosed that I was in the gym when he called me. And I told him we cannot alter a committee report through phone calls. If we need to alter anything, we must recall the sitting and change anything. And Vice Chair, you were seated there. You never objected. None of the senators seated there ever objected. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, let us be honest as leaders and be true to the word integrity in leadership, Honorable Speaker. But the dishonesty I've seen with our senators, Honorable Speaker, is amazing. They claim to be the protectors of devolution and devolved government, but they are killing devolution. Honorable Speaker, if you look at this Kara bill today, clause 1 says that this act may be cited as a County Allocation of Revenue Act 2019 and shall come into force upon publication in the Gazette, whenever that will be, Honorable Speaker. And you can read the mischief, Honorable Speaker, that they sought through their illegal and unprocedural amendments to the Division of Revenue Bill, and even through the publication of this with a commencement date that would be upon publication, Honorable Speaker. And we know the politics they are playing is the politics that they have taken to the courts of law. Yes. And Honorable Speaker, we should not allow the Senate or senators to play politics with matters that touch on the lives of Kenyans. Because there's money going to the devolved governments, Honorable Speaker. Is money going to provide water to households that have no water? Money going to provide drugs and offer health care to Kenyans who are suffering today? I hear their counties, and I heard them in the Senate yesterday in Kitui saying that they have indeed witnessed somewhere that a hospital has been closed down. It is not in one county, Honorable Speaker. There are a number of counties where hospitals have been closed down because members of staff in the counties without salaries have had to down their tools. Other places, there are no drugs in hospitals. There are places Kenyans are suffering. You have seen the outbreak of cholera, even in Nairobi, because of dirty water, Honorable Speaker. And these are issues that ought to be addressed by counties getting their money at the right time. Therefore, I want to urge our honorable senators, please play politics with anything else, but not the disbursement of monies to the counties, because you are doing Kenyans a great disservice. Honorable Speaker, moving on, if you look at the schedules, Honorable Speaker, and I think this is a matter that also canvassed during the Division of Revenue Bill, the issue of on-source revenue, that as much as we are looking at the 378 billion that is going to the county governments, Kenyans must also ask themselves, what are our county governments doing to ensure that they collect adequate revenues, so that even at times like this when there is a delay, at least they are able to generate enough revenues in their own counties to be able to offer services to Kenyans. It's amazing, Honorable Speaker, that some of the counties that naturally would receive a lot of monies, top among them Nairobi, Mombasa, Honorable Speaker, even Kiambu, where I come from. Kiambu, I can see here, is receiving almost 9 billion shillings. I hope the acting governor now there can act to ensure that we get services to the people of, there is an acting governor in Kiambu, Honorable Leader of Majority. But I was saying, Honorable Speaker, you will notice from the schedule that there are a number of counties, because of the decline in their own source of revenue and the formula that is used to share this money, they have lost in the monies that go to the counties. A case in point, Honorable Speaker, if you look at Mombasa County, last year they received almost 1.1 billion shillings more than they are receiving this year. And this is on account of what they are losing because of not being able to collect more own source revenue. And it's amazing, Honorable Speaker, because this is one of the counties that you'd expect with a very good outturn of tourism in the last financial year, Honorable Speaker, that they would have been able to collect more taxes from their own source revenues. But Honorable Speaker, this is why we're asking these governors to also be innovative. When you travel, Honorable Speaker, and a lot of us travel outside the country, you realize in your hotel bills, Honorable Speaker, there are usually levies that go to the city governments of those cities. Probably it's time for our county governments to become innovative in counties like Mombasa and other tourist destinations to be able to charge such levies and be able to get more revenues other than dancing to Tetema and other dances in some forums. They should be more innovative, Honorable Speaker, in collecting revenues. Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with what the Leader of Majority is shouting here, that there are governors who are better, if not dancing Tetema, somewhere in Mombasa, they are socializing with socialites in Los Angeles. Yes. And that is time they should be using to be
Sorry, what is Tetema again? Because you see, you are bringing in earlier. But anyway, let's proceed.
Honorable Speaker, Tetema is a song that has been banned by Ezekiel Mutua of Kenya Film Commission, but there are governors who are very good at dancing to that Tetema dance in forums. And I said, if they are not dancing to Tetema, they are socializing with socialites in Los Angeles. But if they were socializing with those socialites and seeing what is happening in LA, that the hotel where they are sleeping in LA has a levy charge to them on account of being visitors and tourists in that city, going to the city government. If, for instance, we're able to charge levies to the tourists, both local and foreign who are coming to our hotels in Mombasa, would maybe upscale the revenues and be able to benefit the people of Mombasa from more revenues than what we are seeing here. Same case with Nairobi, Honorable Speaker. Kiambu, at least there is a small increment. Nandi, Honorable Speaker, seems to be doing relatively well also. And many other counties, Honorable Speaker, and I don't want to go to particular counties. Let me just say it is a challenge to both our governors to ensure that all the resources that will have been allocated to each of their counties is used for the benefit of the people in our counties to provide them with services that Kenyans are yearning for. Honorable Speaker, for our good senators, let me again appeal to them. Please, honorable senators, stop playing politics with county funds. We know you are charged with the responsibility of protecting counties. Protect them by ensuring that they receive their money in due time without playing the unnecessary politics that they have been playing with these bills. Honorable Speaker, with that, I beg to move and request the Leader of Majority to second.
Leader Majority.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second that the County Revenue Allocation Bill 2019 is an important bill in ensuring that 378.10 billion allocation that has been provided for in the Division of Revenue Bill be divided among the 47 county governments pursuant to Article 218, subsection 1A. And Mr. Speaker, the spirit of the Constitution was to ensure that there was a flow of resources from the central government to the county governments, and also to the grassroots, where most of our people are having a lot of problems. Mr. Speaker, the country has tried this before to ensure that decentralization of public resources through the district focus program be there. However, the trickle-down effect is still facing a lot of evolving challenges. The Speaker, I observe that the impact of the substantial resources that have been allocated to the county governments since the onset of devolution has not impacted positively in the counties that we come from. Maybe in the headquarters, constituencies where the headquarters of the counties, you might see because you might see some development. But when you go to the other rural constituencies, the Speaker, I'm sure members here will agree with me that you will not feel the fruits of devolution. Let us be very honest. We have nothing against, we are all of us here to appropriate money to central government and county governments. And Mr. Speaker, so that a time has come when we must assess the success and achievements of devolution. We need to go back to Bomas and ask, what are the successes of devolution maybe 10 years? Mr. Speaker, given the resources available to counties from the development partners, national government, and own source revenue, and the private sector, counties by now, in my opinion, should have become sustainable. Speaker, you have seen the Senate and the Council of Governors. Their focus is on the equitable share of revenue. Where is the other revenue collected by counties? And in some instances, the former county councils used to collect more money than the current county government. And that is the problem we have. If you check Machakos County, what the Mavoko Municipal Council, what they used to collect is more than what the current county government of Machakos is collecting. And even the little they collect is not going to the central account. So, Mr. Speaker, look at even the governors are talking about 316.5. What the president has signed yesterday is 378.1. Mr. Speaker, in this division of revenue and in this CARA, there is 8.9 billion allocated for roads in counties. And I want to ask colleagues, are roads done by counties in your constituencies? The answer is no. There is about 2 billion allocated to village polytechnics annually. Are those monies felt in the village polytechnics in your constituency? The answer is no. In constituencies where there's level 5 hospital, each hospital in level 5, including like Garissa Provincial Hospital, they are getting 450 million annually. Is that conditional government grant to level 5 hospital, Kakamega General Hospital, Garissa General Hospital, Mombasa General Hospital, and Machakos level 5 hospital? There's direct money going to them from the division of revenue and the county allocation. Are we having, Mr. Speaker, KEMSA has closed the accounts of all counties because they are unable to pay for the drugs they were supplied to. Let's call a spade a spade. Mr. Speaker, it's very sad that the statutory deductions are not remitted to KRA. For example, there's no way the clerk of the National Assembly will not remit my payee to KRA. And it is very sad for a whole county to have an arrears of 1 billion not paid to KRA because the counties have not remitted the statutory deductions like NHIF, NSSF, payee, VAT, withholding tax. And this House and the chair of budget must go in the next financial year. Government must link the KRA database to the IFMIS so that whenever a contractor in the counties is paid money by the counties, the government gets back its money. How come governors are not paying? I've got arrears of 2 billion, 3 billion to county governments. Mr. Speaker, and I want members to look at this bill. You can see the contradiction. The whole of yesterday, the Senate was discussing the National Assembly. And they were saying the president has committed an illegality. The president has not committed an illegality, and that's why the Chief Justice has asked for the mediation version, and we will give it with the Hansard. Between July 1st, and Honorable Makali Mulu, who worked in the National Treasury, said it, between July and September, some counties accessed some resources as overdraft from the National Treasury. If you put the commencement date as when the bill, the Division of Revenue bill is assented to, then how do you account for the money given to them for those 2 months? It's logic. But look at section 11 of the CARA bill today, and it tells you those guys have gone to eat mandasi in Kitui. I am telling you, and their legal team, I am so ashamed I'm not a senator, and I am proud of the legal team of the National Assembly. You look at section 11, and I really want members to look at section 11 of the CARA bill. They are saying the schedule prepared under section 17(7) of the Public Finance Management Act shall be reflected that the disbursement of monies allocated to counties in financial year 2019-2020 is effective from 1st of July 2019. Now, if you are saying this is section 11, and in clause 1 on the commencement date, you are talking about upon assent or upon the act being gazetted, which is after the president signs today, it has to wait for 14 days. Are you not contradicting yourself? You are contradicting yourself. And the head of legal department in the Senate must resign. You are not advising our colleagues who are in Kitui, and I'm told they are more than the population of Kitui. Every street in Kitui is either a senator or a staff of senator. I am told. I have a friend there, he said, how come the Senate is more than the population of Kitui town? But look at this. This is, in fact, this is a contradiction. You cannot tell us that counties must be given funds immediately, and you are saying the commencement date should be upon the act, the publication of the act. Number 2, in section 11(2), they are saying, notwithstanding the provision of section 1, The National Treasury shall transfer to the counties the total disbursement due in the first quarter of the financial year 2019-2020 within 7 days of the approval of the schedule by the Senate. Approval of either House of Parliament does not become a legal instrument. It becomes a legal instrument when the President appends his signature. The legal department of I think, the Senate needs to tell the country what advice they're giving. Mr. Speaker, yesterday we have been accused of being an appendix of the executive. Speaker, the Senate cannot purport, and you know we have cornered them. They have cheated the governors, and I think they must have a deal with the governors outside, that if you bring 335, this and this will happen. So they did not deliver. They did not deliver. So governors were telling me, these senators have cheated us. These people have cheated us. They made us not get money. Because we told them from day one, the amount available from the raised revenue is 316.5, period. If you want to add money, and I want to thank the Chief Justice. Yesterday you saw them accusing the Chief Justice for delaying. Delaying what? The Chief Justice told them, the matter before me is a function of the legislature. He cannot appropriate money. The judiciary cannot appropriate money. I table their budget here, just like a Parliamentary Service Commission. The Speaker, we must even ask ourselves, this Senate machinani, how much does it cost? I am told the chair, the Speaker of the Senate sat on in Kitui was bought by the Senate. Yes, the chair he's sitting on in Kitui. He could not sit on the chair of the Speaker of Kitui. So they bought a chair for over 50 million. Over 50 million. And they are going to leave that chair there. I'm told the whole of the county assembly of Kitui has been refurbished. Computers have been bought. Everything has been done. And after Thursday, they will leave. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell the Senate they will not come to Garissa. We will demonstrate. They will not come to Garissa. The money they want to spend in Garissa, I want them to give it to the people of Garissa for it to be given as water or health care. The people of Garissa will not allow, and I'll talk to my Senator Haji, you will not come and enjoy yourself in Garissa when the people of Garissa are having, and we will not allow it. Can you imagine buying a seat for the Speaker of the Senate in Kitui to the tune of over 50 million? That is very imperial. You know, when we passed this constitution in 2010 to kill imperial presidency. Now the governors and the senators have gone back to imperial. So Speaker, even these big chairs governors sit on. You have seen the seat the president's on and the deputy. It's a small wooden chair. But you go to a place, and one time, you know, on my way to Garissa, I passed a place called in Kitui called Ukasi. And the governor of Machakos was having a function. And you know, I saw trucks carrying his toilet. From Machakos, his toilet was carried to Ukasi. His tents were carried to Ukasi. Mr. Speaker, how long does it take you to spend 10 million to host a governor? You carry his toilet, you carry his special tent, you carry special chairs. Eh? And then how can the Senate, Mr. Speaker, how can the Senate go and dine with the governor of Kitui, who we know is the mother of corruption in this country? How can you go and dine? You know, I was in the 10th Parliament. I was in the 10th Parliament when that governor was a minister for water. You know what happened to National Water Corporation. I was in this house, the 10th Parliament, when that minister was in charge of health. What happened in Kemsa? The other day I'm hearing the whole treasury of Kitui was burned down. Can you imagine? And you know there are two governors There are two female governors. They cannot lecture us on corruption. They have a bad history. May her soul rest in peace. Honorable Loboso was a good governor. But there are two remaining. When I see them on TV lecturing me on corruption, Mr. Speaker, I say, what has happened in Kenya? Because Honorable Milo Odhiambo will agree with me. From Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee, we know what Waiguru went through with NYS. We know what went through. We know what the other. So yesterday, they were being taken down by Ngilu. And I want to support the senator of Kitui. He objected. He said, I'm not going to work with her. So, Mr. Speaker, the Senate is supposed to oversight counties. The Senate has not produced the Public Accounts Committee led by Kajwang. They have never produced one report indicting a governor since the Senate started. They sanitized the report of the Auditor General. Let's call a spade a spade. Why is it that the Public Accounts Committee of the National Assembly has indicted ministers here, has indicted PSs? Why is it that the Senate Public Accounts Committee, every day when you go to near the table office, there's a huge crowd of governors and being escorted. The moment they enter there, they face Senator Wamatangi, and you want to ask Senator Wamatangi, is he the father of that committee? I am told there is somewhere people meet before you come to the Public Accounts Committee. There is a club where people meet. So, Speaker, I am challenging Senator Kajwang. Why is it that you have not indicted? We know what happened when Senator Wambora was indicted in the Senate. We know what happened to Mutua. Mutua was given, the county assembly of Machakos indicted him. When he came here, he saw a few guys, did few things. He was told, my friend, you are as clean as white cotton. Yes, we are going to say, and we must say it. So, Mr. Speaker, this law is contradicting. They are saying, they are telling Ukuru Yatani, the acting minister, you must give senators money within 7 days. And the commencement date they have put is after the...
What is it, Honorable Ishungwa? What is it? What is it? He's seconding you, and you are again saying there is something. What is it? Yes.
Honorable Speaker, of course I appreciate that the leader of majority is seconding me. But I was wondering, is he in order to be naming senators by name, Senator Kajwang, Senator Wamatangi? And Honorable Speaker, and purporting there is some club somewhere where they meet to do certain things.
I presume before you allowed him to second you, you must have discussed something somewhere. So maybe you will have to proceed, Honorable Leader of Majority.
Mr. Speaker, this is a problem of the leader of Tanga Tanga. These leaders of Tanga Tanga, they don't know the only place you can do freedom of thought and freedom of speech is on this floor. My friend, this is the only place where the DCI, anybody cannot touch you. Freedom of speech. Even the committee of Honorable Matanga, Honorable Commander, the leader, Honorable Commander, the leader of Keleweke, cannot even call you. NCIC will not call you. This is where Tom Mboya spoke. This is where J.M. Kariuki used to speak. This is where Shikuku used to speak. So we must speak our mind. I have challenged you. I have challenged, and I want to see a record where the Senate Public Accounts Committee has indicted one governor. And it cannot be an ordinary thing. Mr. Speaker, I have to finish. I have no choice.
I don't see any person who has placed a card here. So proceed. You know, they...
Yeah, I have been given to proceed, and that is it. Honorable Mili, my good friend, and she is also the people who have a problem with the senators. So, Mr. Speaker, yesterday, in fact, the senator for Migori, and I have told the Honorable Junet last night in the House Business, he is the one who gave him the certificate. That man even did not win in the nomination of ODM. But yesterday he was abusing the House. So, Mr. Speaker, today we expected them to say, anyway, the most important bill, and the House must know that, you know, they took this House, the law we passed on appropriation, to court. Now, since we have, and this man, the leader of Tanga, sometimes he's very intelligent. I was in the mediation. So they said, how do we deal with the commencement date? So the chairman of Senate Finance, Mahmoud, who is vice chair, he himself proposed. He proposed and he said, let it be 1st of July. The other senators, Olekina, and all these people who go to, Jeff Koinange's bench. And I told one time Olekina in the mediation, and Makali could bear me out. I told Olekina, we are not in the Jeff Koinange's bench. This is a mediation, my friend. I told Sakaja, we are not in the Jeff Koinange's bench. This is a mediation. You know the way those who go to NTV breakfast morning, Honorable Jakoyo, Boni Khalwale, Wamatangi, Chris, sometimes, when you go to TV morning, it's different from when you come to a committee of the House. It's about facts and figures. So I told Olekina, we are not before Jeff Koinange, my friend. This is a mediation. So this man proposed, Mahmoud seconded. The Hansard, today, if you want to hear what Tom Mboya said, what Jomo Kenyatta, the late Jomo Kenyatta, late Tom Mboya said in those days, you can go to the Hansard, forget about written, you can hear to their voices. So our speaker and our clerk and all the team, they went and picked the Hansard. They listened to Ichumba proposing, Mahmoud seconding. The senators were quiet. They were very busy. So their case in court has collapsed as far as the appropriation is concerned. And you know, by the way, these people, we have cornered them. We have cornered them, and the problem is this budget, Chairman. We have agreed even the allocation of money in this House must be on pro rata. That we must share money in terms of what is the cost of a member of parliament. Today, the Senate, which is 67, has more resources than the National Assembly. They are going around the world. So if you watch the Senate in the afternoon, they are only discussing statement, petition, nothing else. And buying seats for county assemblies at 50 million. Today, you go to Kitui. There is a seat for the senator, speaker, 50 million costing. Even Makao Mutua, for the first time, because they are occupying his 8-room hotel in Kitui, he tweeted, this is the fruits of devolution. You know, Professor Makao Mutua has ashamed himself. You know, he has a small cottage called Kitui Villa. It has only 8 rooms. So he tweeted last night that the fruits of devolution has come to Kitui. I was about to tell him, my friend, can you declare your interest? You are a recipient of that fruit. It is not the people of Kitui. So, Mr. Speaker, let us finish this bill. We cannot change the commencement date because we have to have 2/3. But the country must know that this House wants counties to get money. The Senate does not want counties to get money. And Article 96 gives the Senate to protect counties. You cannot be a father in a house to protect your kids, and on the other side, you are poisoning and killing your children. They are the ones who are killing devolution. Kenyans must know that. The president said, before I leave tonight for UNGA, let me sign this Kara bill. The president yesterday told the Minister for Finance in our presence that you must disburse 50 billion before Friday. Now with this kind of a commencement date, then the minister will wait when the act is published after 14 days. So between the National Assembly and the presidency who is killing devolution. It is the Senate. So, Mr. Speaker, I am one person. Honorable Millie was there, Honorable Sophia was there, and many people. You know, when the Constitution was crafted, we knew where power was. Power was in this house. So some of us decided to come to this house. But you know, they were cheated by the elders. They were former ministers, Kiraitu Murungi, Mutula Kilonzo, Moses Watangula, James Orengo, who were ministers who were tired. They wanted to rest in that house. Now people like Murkomen and Hassan Omar, young blood, they went there, not reading the Constitution. And Sakaja, even my friend Maura, is regretting. He's saying, I should have been nominated to the National Assembly. Sakaja is telling me, my friend, that place is dead. That house is for retiring. After you served as a minister, is a house, a springboard for you to take you to. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the Speaker Kiambu got over close to 9 billion. And these people of Kiambu and others, I don't want to name, have been saying our money has been taken by the pastoralist. Please, you have now enough money. You have money close to Turkana. You have money close to Mandera. Kiambu people, can you leave us alone? Yeah, your governors. Yeah, now the problem is you're all having acting governors. Because the money we gave you, you don't want to deal with it.
Now. Honorable Leader, majority. So let me. What is your point of order on Boko Milemba? What is it? Is there anything that is out of order by Honorable? Let me propose, then I give you the first shot to move whatever you want to move. So, honorable members, I propose a question which is that the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019, be now read a second time. So what was it, Honorable Milemba?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I wanted to, I'm actually raised on Standing Order number 97. The county government issues affect all of us, as we have seen from the mover and the seconder, ranging from tax, deliverance of service, roads, hospital issues, oversight issues, and the rogue senators. I want to ask that through your current chair, we reduce the time for members to speak to 3 minutes, so that every...
I hear you, honorable members, so that we save on time. We will dispense on it. If you have a different opinion, you move your own motion. Now, let's work on this first. Let's dispense on this one. I have 28 requests, actually 31 requests here. So let me propose a question. Let me put the question, actually, which is that the time for members to contribute on this particular order number 11 be reduced to 3 minutes. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Many as of our contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. And 3 minutes it is. So we'll start with Tindi Mwale, top on the list. Tindi Mwale.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by saying that it's very important for the counties to get the money for them to operate. But as we debate and talk about giving the counties the money, Mr. Speaker, we need to look at the functions that the county governments have been given and how the money should be used in a well and good managerial preparatory, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I don't have much to say or to dispute about the bill, but I think I want to support the majority leader by what he said, that we need senators to know or to read the law and understand that the issue of budgeting is solely for the National Assembly, and therefore they should not try and dictate or try to incite the governors by telling them that the only way to get money is to go to court, or trying to suggest that the president made a mistake yesterday by signing the bill, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I support the bill, and I'm of the opinion that...
Okay. Sorry. Did you finish, Honorable Tindi Mwale? Because we seem to be having a small challenge with the system here. So press it again.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was summarizing. I was of the opinion that the Senate needs to understand their functions and also know that the primary responsibility of budgeting is for this House, the National Assembly. And therefore, I support the majority leader when he says that the Senate should kind of respect the National Assembly's opinion and also not to try and blame the president for signing the bill. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I rise to...
Okay, Honorable Metito, quickly, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support the bill. 3 minutes is a very short time. I have 3 issues. One is, I think it is time we let KRA to be the sole revenue collector in the country, because there is a lot of undisclosed or unaccounted for revenue being collected at the county level. And it is actually the way we are now seeing KRA tightening the belt. I think we should, as National Assembly, prepare a bill to authorize KRA to be the one collecting revenue all over. And then we can now disperse to the counties through the county revenue allocation and the county whatever bill. Second, Mr. Speaker, is I support the Senate on the issue of the need to review the county allocation formula by the CRA Commission. Maybe after the census are out, now that they do consider population, poverty index, and county land size, there is need to review it because it has been long overdue. I think some of the counties are not getting really their equal share. So on that, I support the Senate. Mr. Speaker, the big four is almost all on devolved things, like food security, universal health care, housing, and manufacturing. If you see the conditional allocation to counties, you see most of it is on the health, on housing because of youth polytechnics. You see, we are now moving to technical skills competency country, and therefore, if we revive our polytechnics using these conditional grants, together with the TVETs from the national government, Mr. Speaker, we will now have a lot of technical skills that are required to moving our country to the next level of an industrialized or a middle income country. And therefore, those conditional grants should be used properly. Even if you use the conditional grants to hospitals, we are talking of level 5, we are talking of the foregone health user fee through NHIF. Mr. Speaker, I think it is high time we stop going abroad for treatment and bring the good hospitals to this country. And since it is a default function, we should support it and allocate more money through that conditional revenue allocation to be able to achieve that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, still on this county, these conditional grants, the issue of roads, which is also being given as a conditional, is very important for the counties to repair those roads for the purposes of services and products like in the agriculture sector, like food security, to be able to reach to the market, and that will actually improve the economy of our counties.
Your time is over, Honorable Sophia Abdinur.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to contribute to this very, very important motion. And first, I want to thank the mediation team of this House, the National Assembly, who are focused, who are committed, and who meant well for this nation, Mr. Speaker. That need to go into record, Mr. Speaker, because we do not need to be blamed for something that this House did not commit, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we also need to take audit of our constitution, Mr. Speaker, and find out what is working and what is not working. Because we know by now, and we have seen what is working and what is not working. Mr. Speaker, I've been in my constituency till yesterday. When I was in the constituency, I went around the health facilities of my constituency. And Mr. Speaker, there are some of the health facilities in my constituency that have been closed down for 2 years, Mr. Speaker. Those services have not been given to the people in my constituency. To name some of the few health facilities that have been closed for 2 years is Handaro Dispensary, Sangole Dispensary, Ruka Dispensary, Jalish Dispensary, Bulchohama, Bodai Health Center, and Ijara. That was the last Ijara Health Center was closed for 2 months now. Mr. Speaker, these centers were closed because there are no health personnel to man those facilities. And Mr. Speaker, we allocate resources to all health facilities and health centers in this country. So we do not know where these facilities, these resources go to. Mr. Speaker, we need to name and shame those governors who are not performing. We need to appreciate and honor those governors who are performing. I want myself to honor Professor Kibwana for performing, Mr. Speaker, in this country. We need to name them. Mr. Speaker, it is very unfortunate that we play with something as crucial as health facilities. We have lost a number of people because the health facilities, emerging health facilities, closed for 2 years. Mr. Speaker, I just want to say that it is very clear the mandate and the functions of the county government, and it is high time that they do follow the mandate that is given, because all those mandate and function go with resources down. And I want to appreciate the budget committee. In my own county, we have 7 billion that is allocated. We need that 7 billion to be used properly and shared equally in all sub-counties, Mr. Speaker, so that every sub-county in all the
Time is over. Honorable Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me also support this bill and start by putting some records straight, Mr. Speaker. The leader of majority said the senators are more than what is in Kitui Town, the people in Kitui Town. Kitui Town is in my constituency that there's more than 10,000 voters. So there's no way the senators can be more than that. The other thing, Mr. Speaker, is Kitui County, we are happy. What I'm seeing in my town, I'm happy. And I don't mind the Senate coming again, because our people are benefiting. The third point, Mr. Speaker, is that even as I support the bill, this House should have no problem in terms of the effective date of CARA. CARA is anchored on the Division of Revenue Act. And that is, the effective date for Division of Revenue Act is 1st July 2019. So even if CARA becomes effective October or November, we really have no problem, Mr. Speaker, because in terms of timing, there is no problem. So this House doesn't have to bother to change the effective date of CARA. It will still be okay. Mr. Speaker, the other issue is, Mr. Speaker, I think it is not very clear which House is committed to devolution, Mr. Speaker. Because you can see, Mr. Speaker, what has happened. As late as 8 p.m. yesterday, this bill was not with this House. And the House business has gone that extra mile, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that we have this in the agenda, in the paper order. And in the order paper, Mr. Speaker, it is the first item we are discussing. So in reality, Mr. Speaker, I think it's dishonest on the side of the Senate to say that this House is not committed to devolution. And I want to encourage the Senate to be proactive, Mr. Speaker. Because, Mr. Speaker, if they were proactive, this would have been done by mid-July, what we are doing today. But because of this push and pull, Mr. Speaker, we are now in September, and I can tell you for sure, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude, that we cannot recover the implementation time we have lost. It is already gone. They are only going to pay for the current cost. Development, vote, Mr. Speaker, cannot be taken back. So you realize in terms of economic growth, we are likely to experience not the full implementation of the budget, but some are 80% or 90%, and automatically it will have adverse effects to this economy. So, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to encourage Kenyans to move forward to make sure that we consider time, and time is of essence when it comes to budget implementation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Gekaria. Honorable Dawood Rahim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with the chairman of budget, and I support this county revenue allocation bill. Mr. Speaker, yesterday during the funeral of Senator Mithika Linturi's father in Igembe, one of the MCAs said that it was the MPs who were messing up this country and messing up devolution. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, when he mentioned that it's the MPs and talked about the Punguza Mzigo and reducing us and all that, Madam Speaker, it should go straight to the senators' table, that they are the ones who have messed up this devolution, because when they come back and forth regarding the date to be moved to the assent date, I think they're missing the point, because the more we delay, the more delay will be there to take the money to the counties. Madam Speaker, we need to see how this money is going to the counties, how it's going to be used as well. Madam Speaker, fortunately, my county, Meru County, has got the funds. At least it's been added another 30 million shillings so that it can sort out. Madam Speaker, we need to see how the funds from the funds which are going from the conditional grants as well to hospitals together with the roads are going to be tackled, because, Madam Speaker, many of the roads which we are supposed to not be doing, we are doing them under KERA. And Madam Speaker, we need the Transport Committee to clearly state the classification of roads, because many a time we go to when we go to Mashinani, we have a problem in the sense that the MCAs claim that these roads are supposed to be done by MPs. But Madam Speaker, most of the time those roads are supposed to be done by the county, and we need to know from the roads maintenance levy, the monies which are forwarded to the counties, it needs to come to this Parliament and to the National Assembly, so we know the roads which we are doing and which they are doing, are they the same or not? Because, Madam Speaker, there was a time about a year back when auditors from the county went to audit.
Your time is over, Honourable Member. Let's have the member for Suba North, Honourable Hadiambo Akoth.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to just say that I support and say that as both houses, we both support devolution. And because we support devolution, let us talk to each other and not at each other. And Madam Speaker, I would also want to encourage Senate that because they know that the Constitution does not give them authority, let them do amendments to have the authority they require. But I also want to encourage National Assembly that when we have that authority, let us be magnanimous in the way we exercise our own authority. Madam Speaker, I also want to encourage the national government and the counties to enhance revenue collection so that we don't have the crisis we had because of lack of resources. Madam Speaker, I also want to encourage the timely distribution of resources or disbursement of resources to the counties, so that the counties don't complain that they have money and they have to return because there is no time. But at the same time, encourage our governors to utilize resources well so that it is the public that will defend them. Where they think the National Assembly is not defending them, the public will defend them if they are utilizing their resources well. Madam Speaker, I would also want to challenge a notion that women governors are corrupt. Madam Speaker, I don't know of any case relating to their work as governors that touch on women governors. So I want to say that even though there may be cases that touch on them before, that I'm sure are being dealt with as governors, So far, they are doing well, and I want to encourage that that's a good sign for women. And also, I want to say that one of the notions that I would want to challenge, I had the majority leader speaking about governors who are in Los Angeles and slaying, yet the performance shows such governors are actually doing very well. So maybe we would encourage them to slay more in Los Angeles if it is actually what brings better performance, because that in itself maybe shows that they're doing well. And finally, I would want to encourage that even when we are mad with the Senate, let us follow our rules. We cannot discuss members of Senate mentioning their names without substantive motions. I support.
Very well, you support. The member for Alego Usonga, Honorable Watandi Wamunga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I was not on my seat. Madam Speaker, I like to support this, motion. Madam Speaker, the truth of the matter is that there are some counties that are doing very well, and there are some counties that are not doing very well. A case in point is my county, Madam Speaker, where you hardly can see anything progressive going on. And I think as we pass this bill, I will...
Honorable member, which is your county? Just give him the mic.
Madam Speaker, I was saying Siaya County is doing very badly, Madam Speaker. The only thing you see in the county is contractors who are doing roads. They have resources in their pockets because they are paid in time. But Madam Speaker, when you go into hospitals, health centers, nothing is going on. The other issue, Madam Speaker, is that the Constitution mandates counties to conduct public participation before they develop their programs. Madam Speaker, in my county, what the people want to be done is not being done, Madam Speaker. So I think I want to ask Senate to ensure that counties are implementing programs based on what the people want. Madam Speaker, the other issue, Madam Speaker, is there are some counties that have said they want themselves to be dissolved. A case in point, Madam Speaker, is the county of Taita Taveta. But Madam Speaker, I was surprised when the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya said that the county should not be dissolved, when the governor himself was elected said that this county is moribund, it is doing nothing. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge elected leaders in this country, especially the Deputy President, not to continue to interfere with the operations of counties, because counties are independent, and if they want to undertake anything like dissolving themselves, nobody should come out and say that this county must continue to operate. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I support the motion.
Very well, very well. Honourable members, please join me in welcoming students from Kirara High School, Gatanga constituency, Murang'a County, who are the speakers gallery. Again, pupils from Kitwamba Primary School, Gatanga constituency, Murang'a County. And thirdly, pupils from Kigathi Primary School, Mukuruini constituency, which is in Nyeri County. All are the speakers gallery. They are welcome to watch the proceedings of the House. The next on the request list, the member for Igembe Central, the Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this, Madam Speaker, I'm sorry, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this motion. Mr. Speaker, let me say, Mr. Speaker, today is a relief for Kenyans and especially to the counties, because now we are talking of money going to them. But Madam Speaker, this has been reached after a long tussle and a big pull and push between the Senate and the Parliament. But the picture the Senate has been painting of us, Madam Speaker, outside there is not, it has been very unfair, and more so laying blame on this Parliament, whereas in essence it is the Senate itself which had brought about this bottleneck, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, more so, even the county governments and especially the governors, they have been cheating the Kenyans that the money they are allocated is the money is only the 316 billion which they were talking of. Madam Speaker, these county governments, they are not telling us how much they collect every annually or monthly in their local cesses which they collect. Two, they never tell us, or they are not disclosing to the public, that they receive money from the fuel levy, which is apportioned to Kera and to themselves. And when we go back to the counties, you find that most of the MCAs, they say that the roads are supposed to be done by Kera, which is a body under the Minister of the Transport. But they themselves get also a portion of the same money, and we don't see this money doing those roads. Let the public know today, Madam Speaker, that the county governments are not disclosing the amounts they are getting to the public, to the extent that the blame is laid on us, whereas they are themselves who should have done whatever they should have done. More so, Madam Speaker, they should have taken the 316 billion from the word go and work with it, and if need be, they call for a supplementary. But when they say that they don't want that money and they say the money is being withheld, it becomes very absurd, Madam Speaker. So I support the money should be go to.
Thank you. The member for Baringo, the county women rep for Baringo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First and foremost, I want to appreciate the mediation team, both from this house and the other house, and also the President of the Republic of Kenya for really becoming patient and saying that we fast-track this issue so that by afternoon today, he assents to it, such that our country. It's also important, Mr. Speaker, sir, Madam Speaker, that this country and this house and the Senate House to stop supremacy wars and superiority complexes that we are seeing bringing the tug of war between the two houses, and to know that whatever thing we do here cascades down to the lives of the people of this country. The issues money which has stopped for all this time, Madam Speaker, has sincerely affected the lives of the people in our counties, and it is so sad, especially as far as healthcare is concerned. I would also want to urge the governors that as you have been given this money, we want to see tangible change in people's lives in the mashinani. Because, Madam Speaker, we know and we are aware, even in my own county, that there are some, the county of Baringo, that there are some dispensaries, even up to today, which are not performing, which are not working, because they have not been equipped, they have no personnel, and as we pursue the UHC, which is an agenda that the President has set, we want to see health going down to the people, so that before issues come to the referral facilities, patients of people will have been attended foremost from the dispensaries. Because you see, we cannot be having wars on money, and yet every time, year in, year out, we talk of rollovers. I'm just wondering all the time, what is this thing called rollover? Year in, year out rollover. Rollover, and people are suffering. If miss is the problem, can it be addressed? Because when you tell Mamamboga in Baringo County about if miss, she starts to ask you, which animal is this one? It is important that the national government at the treasury level with the counties work harmoniously, such that this money is released on time and money is not rolled over to the next financial year, whereas people are suffering. It is unfortunate that a county like Turkana, which receives 10.5 billion, this year we experienced nja. It is abnormal. I beg to support.
The member for Mavoko, Honorable Kingola Makau.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I cannot agree with Honorable Duale than today. Madam Speaker, I am surprised how the senators are behaving like flower girls to the governors. Madam Speaker, today, I want to call upon all Kenyans to stop paying any fees to the county governments, because simply they do not declare the locally collected revenue. Madam Speaker, I want to confess to this House, I was the last mayor of Mavoko. I was to collect 1.5 billion. Madam Speaker, the other day, I was shocked to see Machakos County declaring 400 million, the whole county. And you remember there used to be Mavoko Municipal, Machakos Municipal, Masaku County, Kangundo. So, Madam Speaker, all these local authorities combined, I was expecting Machakos County will be collecting more than 3 billion. Now, I am wondering why the senators cannot introduce guidelines and structures to this money that we are releasing to the counties. Madam Speaker, the governors must be transparent enough to tell Kenyans how much money they are collecting from Wananchi. Madam Speaker, all the mamambogas, all the slaughterhouses mentioned, quarries, the governors are collecting that money, and that's the money they are using to entertain themselves. Madam Speaker, if you see the functions of governors, you'll think it's state functions. All this money that is going to functions of governors, including toilets and kitchen and cooks, Madam Speaker, we cannot allow it. And I'm wondering, when did the senators and governors have this kind of marriage? Madam Speaker, the Senate is supposed to be the oversight authority of counties. But today, what we are seeing, they are also emulating the governors. Senate machinani, it is a session of spending government money. Madam Speaker, we cannot allow to sit here and let the senators insult us left, right, center. It is high time they knew that that is a house of rest, and they should rest, respect the president, and wait for the time to impeach the president. That's the work they can do best. But oversighting our counties, it is not their work. I think the National Assembly has the authority to control and determine how much money is going to the counties. I support. Thank you.
Very well. The member for Kiminini, Honorable Chris Omaro.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, mind that I rise to support this particular important bill. It's my humble request to do houses in terms of sibling rivalry. Because like Article 95 of the Constitution is very clear when it comes to determination of sharing revenue. The vertical sharing, Mr. Speaker, it's a key responsibility for the National Assembly. But when it comes to horizontal sharing, Mr. Speaker, this is the county revenue allocation. This is a responsibility for the senators. So we need to work together in a synergistic manner. And Madam Speaker, going to the commencement debt, the Division of Revenue Bill, Mr. Speaker, that was just assented by His Excellency the President, it is indeed important that it was taken to 1st of July. But the senators, I don't know why they were contrary, and yet when you look at their today's bill, which came from the Senate, they're actually proposing the 1st of July. This will expedite the process, Madam Speaker, so that the money can go to the counties immediately, so that we don't want these counties to starve. And Madam Speaker, as this money goes to the county, it is indeed important the public to know that it's actually 378.1 billion that is being taken to the counties. But the counties must demonstrate what are they using in terms of this money. Their responsibility as far as healthcare is concerned, Madam Speaker, is key. Particularly my own county of Trans Nzoia County. You go to the hospitals, Madam Speaker, there are no roads. And Trans Nzoia County, from the schedule, it is getting almost 6 billion. And we are calling upon the governor, plus his executive, they must pull up their socks. Madam Speaker, when you go to the grassroots, the only tangible projects you are seeing are the CDF projects. This county money that is going, much of devolution, there's no show of, Mr. Speaker. It is indeed important that they must be accountable. I've seen the rating, the ranking of governors. My governor continuously has been ranked at the bottom. He's doing his second term. I expect him to improve. Instead of improving, it is worsening. So we are telling him wherever he is, he must wake up. And it's a responsibility of the county assemblies. They are the ones that oversight the counties. It is not the responsibility of the senators. Senators are just there to propagate their interests. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I support.
You support. Order, members. Order, order. Please lower your consultations. We must listen to the contribution of the members. And now we have the County Women Rep for Meru. Let's go to the member for Kadhiani, and not because he was sat next to the member for Kiminini, but because of the requests. Yes, the member for Kadhiani.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to begin by saying that it's important for there to be respect between the two houses of Parliament, the Senate and the National Assembly, and really condemn the senseless attacks on the National Assembly by the Senate, which occurred yesterday in Kitui. Thank God it was in Kitui, not here, because, Madam Speaker, we could not have actually withstood that kind of insult from our neighbors. Mr. Speaker, when the mediation team was named so that we could do an impasse or make sure that we can break that impasse on the division of revenue, I heard one of the senators clearly say that, and I want to quote, Bado Mapambano. So therefore, Madam Speaker, it means that the Senate has always decided that they will keep fighting on everything that comes from this House. But I thank God, Madam Speaker, that the Division of Revenue Bill has now been signed into law. But Madam Speaker, when you look at how the money is supposed to flow in this country, obviously the first thing that happens is the budget is drawn, which is done by this House. Then after that, there is a division of revenue, which is a vertical allocation of resources between the national government and the county, done by this House, which finally goes to the Senate for them now to divide the revenue horizontally amongst the counties. And so, Madam Speaker, I want to say that the Senate has continuously, instead of protecting devolution, they have actually been the people that have been fighting devolution. And these are the reasons I say that, Madam Speaker. One, senators do not ensure public participation in the counties on the projects that are being done by the governors. Madam Speaker, senators are not protecting the funds that go to the counties. And as a result, of course, you've seen the number of governors that have actually been named for issues to do with corruption. Madam Speaker, there's also the obvious issue of conflict of interest, which my leader of majority has named today, and said that there seems to be discussions between the Senate and the Council of Governors on how to do deals so that the money that comes from this House is increased. So, Madam Speaker, it's unfortunate that we see this kind of conflict, and these are the things that we know, and those are the things that make us refuse to accept the kind of proposals that come from the Senate. There's a lot of wastage of public funds. When the governors finally get this money, I propose that they try and raise those failed polytechnics, especially in Machakos, the dispensaries that were built under CDF that are not functional, and then the wastage of public funds, carrying toilets, carrying chairs. Madam Speaker, that must be brought to a stop. And that is only if we as a House stand firm. Finally, Madam Speaker, it's only CDF that is visible out there. So I wonder when they say that my governor is #1 in Kenya and my constituency is only I through CDF that is working, I wonder what criteria did they use to do this ranking? So, Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I support.
Very well, very well. The member 001, though it's not written here, 00.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to inject my voice on such an important motion, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand to support this bill, and I have been a member of the mediation committee, and I want to congratulate my colleague for having done a thorough job, because we did it for the interest of Kenyans, for the interest of those who are suffering in the counties, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, but the Senate have been very ungenuine to Kenyans, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, and I hear that this amorphous political NGO called Senate have graduated now to a nomadic legislative NGO loitering around the country. In fact, it is nowadays more tangatangering than some of us. I hear the other time they were in Eldoret, now they are in Kitui, Honorable Speaker, spending a lot of resources which are meant to go to serve the common mwananchi. Resources that are meant for Wanjiko, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, and Senate is supposed to be the oversight watch over the county government. And they are supposed to be the one that are scrutinizing budgets from the county government to ensure that the resources that are allocated by this House are...
No, Hadi, more minutes. 1 more minute for him. I think the machines are... Give the Honorable Sankok 1 more minute. The machines are...
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think there is a problem with the gadget, Honorable Speaker. So what I was saying is that the Senate is supposed to be the one oversighting the county government. They are supposed to scrutinize the budget so that they assure that all money appropriated by the National Assembly goes to the intended purpose to assist Wanchiko for health care, for water, Honorable Speaker. But it is unfortunate that I have gone to bed with governors. And nowadays, Honorable Speaker, when governors are summoned to the Senate, before they come to the Senate, they pass through a certain club and they negotiate, they know, and they are given clean bill of health. Honorable Speaker, this amorphous political NGO should be dealt with by the upcoming referendum, Honorable Speaker, so that we can do away with it if it have no function, Honorable Speaker, because county government are being oversighted by county assembly, national government is being oversighted by National Assembly, therefore it have no mandate.
Order members, order. The members who are abstaining, the members who are, order members. The members who are consulting loudly, please let us observe decorum in the House. Honorable Pukose, what is out of order? You are on.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm standing under Standing Order 95, Madam Speaker. Knowing, I know this is an issue that members are very emotive about. It is concerning all their counties. And these are issues, Madam Speaker, considering the weighty matter before us, that we expect the President to assent to this bill today so that members can go into the third reading so that this bill can be assented to today, and it has to go to the government printer and it's a process, Madam Speaker. So I know members are agitated, but I think it's the right thing for us to do so that we can release money to the counties, Madam Speaker. So I move that the mover be called to reply.
Very well, honorable members, Honorable Sankok, order members. Honorable Sankok, can you resume your seat first? Of course, I respect you, and given the kind of dressing you're always having with the Kenyan colors, order members. Members, the Honorable Pukose is rightly, of course, pursuant to our own standing orders, is stood on standing order number 95 on closure of debate to call the mover to reply. And therefore, I move to put the question, which is that the mover to be called upon to reply. Will as many as of the opinion say aye? And as many as contrary opinion say nay. Nay. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The mover to be called up, the mover to reply.
I reply, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. The Honorable Ichungwa has replied, and I therefore put the question. Before, there's a, yes, Honorable Leader of Majority, before I put the question.
Speaker, through you, you indulge me understanding order number 1, that because we cannot amend this bill, we need 2/3 majority, and we can't get it. I really want to ask our colleagues that even the committee of the whole House will take 2 minutes, so that you just remain for 2 minutes. Then we finish. No, not for 2 minutes, because there's no amendment, so that we can conclude, and then we send this bill to government printer for the President to sign before the end of the day.
Put the question now.
Leader, of course you've spoken, but I have to follow procedures. And where we are now is for me to put the question. Members, I move to put the question, which is that the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019, be now read a second time. Will as many as of the opinion say aye? Aye. As many as of contrary opinion say nay? Honourable members, the ayes have it.
a bill for an act of parliament to provide for the equitable allocation of revenue raised nationally among the county government for the 2019-2020 financial year and the responsibility of national and county government pursuant to such allocation and for connected purposes.
Next order. Committee of the Whole.
Order members, we now get to the committee of the whole house. We'll go straight into the bills. We have two of them, right? We shall start with the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019.
Clauses 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 be part of the bill. There are no amendments on that. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
First schedule.
Honorable members, I propose that the first schedule be part of the bill. There are no amendments on that. Honorable members, I now put the question that the first schedule be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Second schedule.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the second schedule be part of the bill. No amendments on that. I now put the question that the second schedule be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Schedule.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the third schedule be part of the bill. I now put the question that the third schedule be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Fourth schedule.
Honorable members, I propose a question that the fourth schedule be part of the bill. There are no amendments on that. I now put the question that the fourth schedule be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I propose a question that the title be the title of the bill. I put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
Honorable members, I propose that clause 1 be part of the bill. There are no amendments on that. I now put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. We are done with that bill. Mover. Yeah.
Mike. Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019, and its approval thereof without amendments.
Honorable members, I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019, and its approval thereof without amendments. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye?
Aye.
Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, we are done with that bill. We shall get to the next one, which is the Law of Contract Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2019.
Clause 2.
Put the question.
Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 2 be part of the bill. There is an amendment. Majority Leader.
Chair, I beg to move that clause 2 of the bill be amended as provided in the order paper, and it's just to rectify an inadvertent drafting error.
Very well, honorable members. No. You know, 001, relax a bit. It has to go the way it must go. Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the majority leader. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the majority leader. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 2 be as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
Honorable members, I propose that the title be the title of the bill. I put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, we are done.
Clause 1.
Oh, sorry, we are not done yet. We have clause 1. Honorable members, I propose a question that clause 1 be part of the bill. I now put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, we are done with the county allocation of revenue bill. The Senate bill number 8 of 2019, as well as the law of contract amendment bill, National Assembly bill number 1 of 2019. Mover.
Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee to report to the House's consideration of the law of contract amendment bill, National Assembly bill number 1 of 2019, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Honorable members, I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House's consideration of the law of contract amendment bill, National Assembly bill number 1 of 2019, and its approval thereof with amendment. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Will as many as are of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Can we have the mover to do the reporting? The chairperson to report. Let us start with the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate bill number 8 of 2018.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the county allocation of revenue bill, Senate bill number 8 of 2019, and approved the same without amendments.
The mover of the bill to move agreement with the report. Honorable Ichungwa. Honorable members, to bear with us, the mics, you must do one by one. Give mic.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request Honorable Pukose to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable Pukose.
I second.
Members, I propose the question for adoption, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said reports. I put the question, members, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Will as many as are the opinion say aye? Aye. And as many as are contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. The move of the bill to move the third reading.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019, be now read a third time. I also request Honorable Cheptumo to second.
Honorable Cheptumo.
I second, Madam Speaker.
Very well. Honourable members, I propose the question for third reading, which is that the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019, be now read a third time. That is the mood of the House. I confirm that the House is properly constituted for me to be able to put the question. I now therefore put the question for the third reading, which is that County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2019, be now read a third time. Will as many as of the opinion say aye? Aye. And as many as the contrary opinion say nay? Members, the ayes have it. Next, let's have the next bill for reporting. Chairperson.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Law of Contract Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2019, and approved the same with amendments.
The mover of the bill to move agreement with the reports.
Honorable Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. I also request Honorable Deputy Minority Leader, Member for Kadhiani, to second the motion of agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable Boy for seconding. Give the mic. Order, members. Order, members. Honorable Chris Wamalwa. Order, members. Honorable Barire, I'm sure you are doing your work, but can you just do it because I can see Honorable Chris Wamalwa wants to talk to you, to consult. Yes, Honorable Boy. Can the members resume their seats? Can the members resume their seats? All right, members, I propose a question for adoption, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Is the mood of the House for me to... Very well, very well. Members, I put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Will as many as of this opinion say aye? Aye. And as many as of contrary opinion say nay? Or members, the ayes have it. The mover of the bill.
Speaker, of late, we are behaving like the House of Commons. People come to the House when they want to remove a prime minister. And I think we should bring the prime minister here in future, in a parliamentary system. I beg to move that the Law of Contract Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2019, be now read a third time. I request Honorable Ahmed of Wajir North to second.
The member for Wajir, you second. Very well. Bowing and talk is also this procedural. All right, members, I propose the question for third reading, which is that the Law of Contract Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2019, be now read a third time. There be no interest to speak on this, on the third reading. Or members, I move to put the question for third reading, and I confirm that the House is properly constituted. And the question is that the Law of Contracts Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2019, be now read a third time. Honourable members, will as many as of this opinion say aye? Aye. And as many as the contrary opinion say nay? Members, the ayes have it. Next order.
A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the equitable allocation of revenue raised nationally among the county government for the 2019-2020 financial year and the responsibility of national and county government pursuant to such allocation and for connected purposes.
Very well. Yes. Give him the mic.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Law of Contract Act.
Order number.
Next order.
Order number 13, the Banking Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 55 of 2019, second reading.
Honorable members, on order number 13, that is the Banking Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 55 of 2019, is a resumption of debate that was interrupted on the Wednesday, September 11, 2019, at the morning sitting, and we had a balance of 25 minutes. This bill was by Honorable Jude Jomo on the second reading. So, honorable members, those members who did contribute to the same, as a matter of procedure, we don't contribute twice to a bill or a motion. So the member for Rangwe, if you know, the honorable, she's consulting. The member for Seme, Honorable Nyikal, and that is if you did not contribute to the same, that is the Banking Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 55 of 2019. You did not, yes, the records show that you did not. Thank you. We have an issue with the machines. Give Honorable Nyikal the mic.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to speak on the Banking Amendment Bill. Madam Speaker, banking is the key support system for business in this country and elsewhere. Madam Speaker, this amendment seeks to find how the banking industry can perform that business of ensuring that those who venture actually do succeed in their ventures. Madam Speaker, business is the mainstay of any economy. For the economic growth of a country, because it then generates income, creates employment, generates products that we can sell and get foreign exchange, and it provides the taxes that we run our systems. So, Madam Speaker, business must really be supported. And the main support for business elsewhere, worldwide, is actually credit. Credit that will make it possible for businessmen to actually run their businesses, companies to run their businesses and get returns. And returns on any investment, it depends on the interest rates that is actually applied. Madam Speaker, interest rate is the main determinant of the cost of running a business and therefore the returns that the business will bring to the investors. Therefore, Madam Speaker, if the interest rate is high, it is not possible that businessmen or companies will run their businesses and make profits and employ people, create products, and pay taxes. I do not know of any business, Madam Speaker, where you will get such huge returns that you will pay back an interest of 20%. You must then be running a business with a profit of 50%, and such businesses are rare. And Madam Speaker, it is therefore the role of the banking industry on one hand and the government on the other hand to support businesses so that we can have economic growth. And therefore, if the interest rate is such that businesses, people cannot take interest, or if they take interest, then they cannot make any profit, then the support that the banks are supposed to provide does not actually make any sense. And therefore, this bill that actually seeks to cap the interest rate, which we had passed earlier, but is brought back because of minor amendments that are necessary, is of interest. But we must look at it in the context of the history of the attempts by this House to actually cap the interest. The Donde bill we are aware of, and it didn't really get anywhere. The banking industry actually got together and actually frustrated it out of existence. The Jomo bill that now we are amending, we just passed it actually in the last term, and it didn't, actually the word out that it was, the court actually has stopped it. Luckily, the court did not actually stop the act. What the court said, there were need for amendments to just make matters clear. For example, if you are talking of 4% capping rate, is it 4% per annum, 4% per month, and so on? And I must thank the courts for that. Again, you could see very clearly that even this court process was actually motivated by the banks actually literally forming a cartel. Madam Speaker, in my view, the banks are being insincere, and the reasons that we get from the banking industry as to why there is need for high interest rates, I cannot really apprehend them. I don't see how, if you have lower interest, then people will not take loans. By just the law of supply and demand, if the interests are low, more people will actually take the loans. But the banks turn around and say that if the interests are low, people do not take. What they do is actually they sit together as a cartel, bring in tough conditions that make it impossible for people to take loans. In effect, basically denying to give out loans because they want higher interest. They are more interested in the money they will make than the businesses running. But I must say, if you have a lot of businesses running, even the small interest that they get and large number of people taking loans will be good for them. The economy will be moving. The economy will be prosperous. But if you deny people loans because you think the interests are low, I think that is thoroughly counterproductive. There has been an argument that if the interests are low, then they would rather lend to the government. But if you look at this, this is actually a fallacy. If you're just lending to the government that just offers services and pays salaries, you cannot then just apply money for consumption and not apply money for production. So the banks cannot be sincere if they really want the economy to move, that if the interests are low, then they will only give loans to the government. Because in the long run, even that argument is wrong. Because if the economy is not productive, then the money you are giving to the government does not in any case serve any purpose. I disagree with that argument. But as they complain about this, we know that the bank profits are huge. Year by year, the banks are posting huge profits. And therefore, when a bill like the one Jomo brought in the last time came, they come with arguments basically splitting hairs. But the courts were wise. The courts decided we cannot throw away this act. What we do is get it back so that the ambiguities are removed. And to that extent, it is now back with us, and I'm sure when we are going to pass it, remove those ambiguities, and still have the capping as we wanted it. Madam Speaker, I must say, and I'm actually not happy that if you look at this process, from the time the capping the Capping Act was passed to now the process we are going through, you see a collusion between the banks and the central bank. Because it has come clear that the person who took the matter to court is related to the lawyers of the bank. I don't see, of the central bank. I don't see why the central bank didn't just come out clearly and say that as much as this has been, the act has been passed, there are ambiguities. There was no need to go behind and get a pupil, somebody who is doing pupillage in their lawyer's firm to go this. That shows bad faith on the part of the central bank. And I cannot comprehend when a regulator is actually colluding with the people they're supposed to regulate. That's a disaster. And I think the central bank should not do that. In my view, Madam Speaker, the banks in this country are anti-business and therefore anti-economic growth, and in my mind, they are surely becoming the real lords of poverty. They are actually economic saboteurs. If you go to the banks, they charge you even for taking your money. When you give the money directly, they charge you for taking your money. The only thing that are not charged for in banks these days is the air you breathe. But so long as you step there, you ask for just to get your account, you ask to be advised on anything, of course it is charged. That appetite for interest that does not look into the welfare and the economy of the country is counterproductive. With that, Madam Speaker, I support this amendment.
The member for Kuria West.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity also to contribute to this very important motion. Madam Speaker, we know in this economy, at this rate of borrowing, in many banks, especially in this country, the rates are very high. And we know many businessmen cannot operate or they cannot borrow money from the bank when the rates are very high. Madam Speaker, we know that many businessmen or many in this country cannot afford sometimes to go and buy assets in cash or buy houses in cash. They must go to bank so that they borrow and they get money to repay back later. Madam Speaker, the interest rates is very high, and when many cannot afford to go and borrow, you'll find that even creating employment to some of the businesses becomes difficult. So this motion, Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, will assist many Kenyans when we consider and the rates are reduced. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Shall we have Honorable Gogo Acheng? Honorable Gogo Acheng has taken leave. Honorable David Ouma Ochieng. That member has taken leave as well. Honorable Kipiegon Geno. Okay, very well. Honorable Odege Boya, member for Nyatike. Yes. Honorable, I can see Honorable David Ochieng walking quite fast. I'll give you a chance.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to join previous speakers in supporting the amendment. And I want to say that we as parliamentarians, our main interest first is to defend the interests of Kenyans who elected us to be here and not to allow banks to exploit them. By just merely trying to say that by capping the rates is making many people not to take loans is a defeatist kind of argument, since no one can go for high interest just because it's high. What Kenyans are looking for is what can make them afford and make their businesses work very well. So as people who are representing Kenyans in this house here, it's our responsibility to ensure that we protect our own people who elected us here. If I can recall before the capping, I took a loan, and each and every year the interest rate was increasing, and the period of recovery of the loan was also increasing. That kind of business which we have seen before, we cannot allow anyone in this country, anyone who is also doing business in this country, to try to subject our own people so that they make their profit. If they think doing business with the government is good enough for them, so be it. But we cannot allow them just to keep on threatening our people that if you don't do this, then we are going to do business with the government. We also have the authority to make it very difficult for them to do business with the government so that we subject them to be answerable to Kenyans, so that this kind of arm twisting, which we have seen in our country today, we are not going to allow it. I want also to appreciate what our courts has done, because if you allow rogue businessmen in this country to exploit our people, we are going to end up in a situation whereby no Kenyan will afford to do business in this country. Since no one is having capital, we have to rely on banks. And if banks think they can only do business with the government because they can exploit the government, I think it is our responsibility as the House to fix it so that they be subjected to do business with Kenyans. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Kay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand to support. Mr. Speaker, sir, the situation we have in this country is that we have a situation whereby the banks in this country, when they were given a free rein to operate within a laissez-faire economy, we found them wanting in the sense that they could not be controlled. What we had was a banking institution or industry that was lording over the public of Kenya. It had become extremely difficult for a businessman in this country to borrow a loan from a bank, any banking institution. We find a situation whereby even the smallest of the loan, it had to be secured by a collateral, either maybe land or something that is tangible. This is a situation whereby you find the economy and the SMEs are not growing because they are not supported by the banking industry. What we have in Kenya is not a banking industry, but a Shylock industry, whereby unless they are regulated via legislation, then it means the public, the businessmen, the SMEs in this country cannot grow. And they have opted for the easier way out, doing business with the government. Meaning that because they are sure that their money is going to come back and come back with handsome interest, that is why they have ignored the majority of the Kenyans, the majority of the businessmen in this country. And the question is, do we still then need the banking industry that supports the government? Do we still need an industry that is not responsive to the needs and aspirations of the business and economy of this country? And my answer is no. And the reason why this industry is being regulated via legislation is because they could not self-regulate. I support.
Before I give to member for Diwa, allow me to give Honorable Cheng.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. This bill is not on the online platform, so I had gone out to pick it. That's why I was away when you called me out to speak. Thank you so much. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support this bill. Mr. Speaker, one of our main ambitions as a country is to industrialize. We hope that in the next 30 years, Kenya should have risen to a truly middle-income country, joining, the rest of the world in raising living standards of its people. And one of the parameters, Mr. Speaker, of knowing whether a country is growing is the ease of access to credit, the ease of access to loans, the ease with which people are able to get money to do business. So, Speaker, last week I heard my president talking about how Singapore has grown and he hopes that Kenya would go the way Singapore went. And I want to tell Mr. President that these things don't just happen. Someone has to sit down and work on them. And part of working on them means reining in on banks, reining in on institutions that are prying on the public needs and services, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the banking industry today is known for very high profits every year. In fact, Mr. Speaker, they nowadays compete with how much, in terms of billions, would they return in terms of profits. Mr. Speaker, if you see the bonuses being paid to CEOs of banks and top executives, Mr. Speaker, you'll be shocked. But the employees remain with the same salaries. A CEO of a bank gets 40, 50 million shillings in terms of bonuses, but the employees don't get a single raise. Mr. Speaker, for us to grow, we must be able to say as a country that the services industry will be run based on market fundamentals. But when you leave market fundamentals to run the banking sector, and the banking sector runs amok, then Parliament must and will always come to the aid of the public. And that's why I support this bill, Mr. Speaker, because the elasticity of the banking industry, Mr. Speaker, is very high. If the
will finally ask the EACC that the affairs and the books of Machakos County that have had disclaimers for 4 continuous years must be looked into, so that the Senate does its job and the relevant body that deals with economic crimes can look into those books to establish whether the lack of disclosure is an effort to conceal certain misuse or abuse of public resources and public funds. There being no other business, before I adjourn this meeting to tomorrow 9:30, and tomorrow we'll be listening to the governor for Makueni and the Public Accounts Committee of Kitui, the Public Accounts Committee of Makueni. You are invited. I'm glad that the chair, Makueni, is already here with his team. Makueni is interesting because it is one of 2 counties that had an unqualified opinion. It was Makueni and Nyandarua. We want to find out what the governor of Makueni is doing right. Why is Makueni having an unqualified opinion, which is grade A, and the governor of Machakos is having disclaimers in a row, which is grade D? What is Makueni doing that Machakos is not doing? And you are neighbors. You share the same culture. You share so much in common. Why would one child born of the same mother be an A student and the other one be a D student? We'll be very keen on finding out what Makueni is doing right and whether that grade is also justified. We know that before Matiang'i there were A's. Now we want to confirm whether that is a Matiang'i grade or that is a Professor Ongeri grade.
But on a point of order, Chair. On a point of order, Chair, I think it's important for the public and also the people of Makueni to know that when it comes to an issue of disclaimer or unqualified, it is not really on the lawfulness of the public funds. It is mostly on how you've prepared your documentation, responded to the auditor. Maybe Makueni is very good in keeping their records, you know, and that's why they're getting their unqualified opinion. I think tomorrow is when we'll be able to separate facts from fiction, when we look deeply into these other issues of fiduciary responsibility. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, and obviously Professor Ongeri has no comeback to that mischievous proposal, and therefore I will allow...
Chair, I would not want to say this, but by the time you attain the rank that you have given me, Professor, normally issues are very clear. And the grading is very clear. There are no shadows. When you say it's A, it's A. When you say it's E, it's E. And I think those of us who had the occasion, the privilege of teaching at the university, know that that's the level of scholarship that one is able to attain. And it's not for public show, but it's just for public humility.
Thank you, Professor. And it's always a pleasure and a great privilege to have the professor in this committee, owing to his not just public record, but also his personal achievements. And at some point, I was about to say that Senator Kabaka is overqualified to be in the Senate. He has an LLB, he has a CPA, he's doing a PhD, and he is, I don't know whether he has other things in divinity, because he talks a lot about theological issues. But until I met Professor, then I realized that you are not overqualified. If anyone was overqualified, it would be Professor Ongeri. But it's a pleasure having Professor around. Dr. Agnes Zani, a teacher, PhD. In Homa Bay, we say, kichwa moja, degree tatu. And that's a powerful woman. Now, let's conclude. And I wish to give an opportunity to, before the chair of Kitui speaks, and we'll have the final word, I get the chair of Makueni Public Accounts Committee. It's a pleasure having you around. It's good for us to partner in this particular manner. If you have any comments to make, I know Makueni is coming tomorrow, and then the chair of Kitui will have the final word before we adjourn.
Thank you, Chair. I must first start by appreciating the Senate Public Accounts Committee for the opportunity that you have given us before. We sat during the last interrogations for the County Executive of Makueni in Nairobi. When we came in 2017, the reports in Makueni were really not very nice, but with the support from the governor. In this way, CECs could not honor summons. They did not provide information in time. But we had a sitting with the governor and his county executive. And the governor compelled the EC of Finance and all other CECs that they must honor summons and invitations from the county assembly. So that is where we began. So in Makueni, we have no cases of information not provided. In Makueni, we do not have a case where a CEC does not appear before the committee. And therefore, I think it is through that kind of cooperation that currently in 2018-19 that we got an unqualified report. 17-18, sorry. And therefore, I believe that the issue of accountability, in as much as a county assembly, we are supposed to oversight the county executive, but we need to get a lot of cooperation from our county executives and the governors, Honorable Chair, so that the work becomes easy and we are also able to show the people, the electorate and the citizens that we have to do and we have to be accountable as county governments. Otherwise, thank you, and we are looking forward to have the governor tomorrow to come and explain and be interrogated by the committee. So, thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. And I personally feel happy when I find a county assembly that is functioning, and when I find a county executive that is functioning, a county executive where the Auditor General believes that the financial statements are properly stated, even though it does not cover the lawfulness and effectiveness of use of public resources. And I just want to confirm that, Chair, Public Accounts Committee, you are not in bed with the executive.
Yes, of course, we are not in bed with them. And our reports and recommendations have always been forwarded to your committee. And you can always confirm.
Thank you, Chairman. So at least you're sleeping in separate beds. Chairman Kitui.
Thank you, Chair, once again. I'll take a minute just to introduce a few colleagues, honorable members from both Kitui Assembly and Makueni. Just a minute to say your name and your committee. Then I'll conclude in a short while. I know time.
Okay,
is so
we do that quickly, just to recognize the honorable members who have joined us.
My name is Mheshimiwa Mary Ndumbu, a member of Budget Committee and an interested party. Yeah.
I'm Boniface Kasina, Chairman Budget and Appropriations Committee, Kitui County. Boniface Kasina, Chairman Budget and Appropriations Committee, Kitui County.
I hope you learned something from yesterday's Senate session on CARA, because having passed CARA, now you will have to recast the budget for Kitui to be in line with the allocations that we approved yesterday.
Absolutely, we did.
Okay, you're welcome, Chair.
We introduce ourselves.
Mheshimiwa, you introduced yourself. Yeah. Yes, and you have been with us since yesterday, during the day, during the night, and today in the morning. Okay, those who are not there earlier.
My name is Mbula Mutul. I'm a member of Communication Committee. Thank you.
Karibu, Mheshimiwa. Any other member who had not introduced themselves?
Thank you, Chair. I am Charles Nyaga. I am not a member, I'm a staff of the Assembly of Kitui. I support budget as the fiscal analyst. Thank you.
I'm glad you have a fiscal analyst. We are of the view that county assemblies must also have an assembly budget office. We have a parliamentary budget office. Budgeting is not child play. It is serious work. Honorable members sometimes are too busy to apply themselves to the critical thinking required in budget making. And we shall recommend, maybe by the end of our visit, that you develop something along the lines of a parliamentary budget office that then will provide support to the Budget and Appropriations Committee to make informed choices on the county budget.
My name is Kalonda Alfred, representing the people of Makindu Ward and the chair broadcasting in Makueni County Assembly.
Thank you, Chairman.
I'm Patrick Musiokimbevi, representing Kilungu people from Makueni County, member of the Committee of Public Accounts Investment Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Broadcasting, I am aware that the ICT Committee will be visiting KBC, Studio Mashinani. I don't know whether it's today or tomorrow. I hope you have been invited for that visit.
I saw the program, though I have not been communicated officially, but I'll be there. And the committee is also represented here.
Okay, because we are just about to adjourn, if you find time, please join that committee, because I believe that whatever KBC is doing here is perfectly within the domain of your committee.
I will, Chair.
Okay.
My name is Martina Ngusekimilu from Makueni County Assembly, a member of Budget and Appropriation Committee.
Asante sana, Mheshimiwa.
My name is Diana Mwendo, Makueni County Assembly, Vice Education Committee. Thank you.
Karibu. You might need to have a conversation. I don't know whether Senator Dr. Zani, you are in education? You might need to have a discussion on the side with Senator Dr. Zani to find ways of synergizing between your committee and the Senate Committee on Education. And I believe Professor Ongeri is also in the Education Committee. So hunt them down once we adjourn. Any other member?
I'm Elizabeth Mutinda, representing the people of Mubawake Community Ward, Makueni County, Vice Chair Committee on Agriculture. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Mheshimiwa. I'm also in the Agriculture Committee. I represent the interest of fishermen in that committee. So we can have a side discussion.
Yeah, I think it's over. It's over.
Okay. Chair, final comments?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, once again. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming for this very, very good session, although it did not work as expected. I remember yesterday, the last confirmation I sought from you, Chair, is whether we will be on today.
Proceed, Honorable Ochieng, Honorable Gogo. In fact, if you look at the mother's bill, it's more about pre-adoptive leave, leave before some adoption. It relates to that one particular point. But Honorable Cheng, you have the floor. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. With what I've already said, I support. Thank you.
Very well. Honorable Mugambi Gishoke. Honorable Abogo, give Honorable Mugambi the space and the opportunity. Honorable Mugambi, do you want to speak to this? You have registered interest to speak to this.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I actually wanted to speak on the other one, the banking amendment bill. That's why I have just removed my card when this other one came in.
Very well, very well. Shall we have next? I can see Honorable Pukose Robert.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support this Employment Amendment Act of 2019 by Honorable Martha Wangare. Honorable Speaker, this is a bill that seeks to such that an employee means a person works in the service of the employer under an express or implied contract of service under which the employed has a right to direct and control the details of work, performance, and exclude contract for services. Honorable Speaker, this country, one of the biggest challenges is the issue of the youth unemployment. And with the issues of youth unemployment, Honorable Speaker, it is giving, I think, the base at which the youths are able to access employment is actually a very big problem in our country. And when you move outside there, we have many graduates graduating from the university. We have many graduating from the middle colleges. And the issue of unemployment is a very critical issue. I think also one of the biggest problems is that government is the biggest employer in our country. And the government being the biggest employer, when the government does not create opportunities to be able to absorb those who are joining into the job market, and then it becomes a problem. Honorable Speaker, we have a bill in this House where some members are even proposing to reduce the retirement age to close to 50. And you realize that there are some skilled areas to become maybe a professor, to become maybe a senior consultant in medical world, even in law, for you to be able to attain that status of being a senior lawyer or a judge or in the various courts. It needs an experience. So I think these are issues that are catching up with us. And it's a high time that the government thinks of innovative ways of how can we be able to create employment, especially to be able to absorb the youths, because that is one of the biggest challenges. I'm happy yesterday the president in swearing in the current director of the National Youth Service advised her that she needs to think of how do we make the National Youth Service to be able to absorb the youth and be able to rejuvenate what has been lost through the bad image that the National Youth Service has had in the past few years. So, Honorable Speaker, these are things that, because the National Youth Service was meant to be able to acquire, to give these youths skills that they are able to become self-sufficient, self-reliable. In the last, before the last elections, Honorable Speaker, in many of the constituencies within the country, we had the NYS coming in and absorbing youths, and they were being given skills, training, so that these youths could also become entrepreneurs. And they were opening even an account where they were doing some savings. But apparently this seems to have collapsed after the elections. And I think this is an area that we are hoping the new director will be able to look at it and see how this can be jump-started and be able to create, to make these youths who are at home to be able to be absorbed. Another area, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the technical training institutes. And I'm happy that some of the technical training institutes are teaching skills, hairdressing, carpentry, masonry, to youths without necessarily making it mandatory that they must have some basic requirements. So these are youths that can be able to, we can be able to channel them into the market in the building construction area, which is one of the big 4 agendas of the president.
Order, Honorable Pukose. What is it, Honorable Wabugu? Gojiri. What's out of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was just wondering whether we are speaking about the same bill. My understanding of the employment bill that we had on the floor is the one that talks about leave for adoptive parents. And I was listening to Mheshimiwa Pokosa and I do not see as if he went in that direction at all. And I thought maybe I'm the one who had the wrong bill. Thank you. Just wanted your guidance, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Yes, the bill that, as I said again, is that we are considering, essentially, if you look at the bill, has only one clause, allowed leave for those who adopt children, because those who give birth have leave. So,
up to that part of it, but also to add my voice that the government need to do more to expand this employment opportunities to many, many Kenyans. And one area, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me to project my voice, is the role of the Minister of Foreign Affairs in exploring opportunities outside this country. Many people, Mr. Speaker, is coming to our country and are employed. And we are doing very little to have our people go outside to look for employment. The other area, Mr. Speaker, even if we can be allowed to get leave, I think the area of self-employment is under explored. The formal sector cannot employ all of us. And therefore, we need to really explore the self-employment center. And the president got it right when he talked about manufacturing. The only problem we have is people think manufacturing can only be restricted in the town setting, Nairobi, Nakuru, Mombasa. No, let's encourage small industry in rural areas so that many can be employed. And we can now talk of parents seeking for leaves when they're employed in those sectors as well. Then we should also help them with marketing products. Self-employment is okay, but when they produce, where do they take those? And those are what are killing employment. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, we need to employ performance contracting. That is what is holding jobs for young people. So many people are non-performers, and they sit in offices anyway. And that's why we are pushing, if even the government can adapt that performance contracting, this permanent and pensionable is not productive at all. Many people just sit there in the offices, they leave their coats, they go wherever, but at the end of the day, there's nothing done. This kind of arrangement is what is denying our young people employment. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I really thank you for the opportunity and I support this bill. Thank you.
Shall we have Honorable Abogo Gojiri?
Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for this opportunity. I stand to support this bill, and I will try and limit myself to the issue in the bill. Mr. Speaker, when Honorable Wagari introduced this bill and the whole idea of adoption, Mr. Speaker, as a country, we are struggling with the issue of adoption. We have a lot of children in children's homes. This particular bill, Mr. Speaker, is meant to encourage parents to actually adopt children. Mr. Speaker, it is a fact that when you get a child through normal delivery, when you get a child who is your own, you get maternity leave. Ladies get 3 months maternity leave, paid maternity leave. Honorable Wangari is proposing that for those parents who actually adopt children, they should be given a similar leave. I strongly support this position because, Mr. Speaker, this 3 months is a kind of period that a parent would be given to get used to this child that they have adopted. The whole idea of maternity leave when you get a child in hospital is so that you can actually bond with the child. Mr. Speaker, I think when you adopt a child, you have more or less the same expectation. You do need time to, you do need to spend some time to actually bond with that child. And I would strongly support provision of maternity leave for parents who adopt children. Mr. Speaker, I also support this for another reason. We need to encourage more Kenyans to adopt children. Mr. Speaker, we keep talking about street children, we keep talking about the kind of issues we saw recently, where we saw some child really making some very interesting comments on social media. And part of this is because of lack of parental guidance of these children. Mr. Speaker, anything we can do to encourage parents to reach out or to encourage adults, of course they have to be responsible, mature adults, to actually step up and take care of children who don't have parents, should be encouraged. And this, Mr. Speaker, as far as I'm concerned, this particular bill is in the right direction because it actually encourages adults and parents to reach out and adapt children, because you adapt this child, you're with this child for 10, 20 years, and you make a difference in that child. Once that child is a mature and is an adult, you never know what they can become. And Mr. Speaker, I was reading somewhere recently, and somebody was talking about the children who get adopted and why it's important for parents own, and you have the capacity to adopt another child, why it is so important to adapt and to be able to step up, because you're paying it forward. You never know what that child is going to become in future. That could be the child who actually holds your family together, your other biological, natural children together. So, Mr. Speaker, this particular bill is really, really a godsend. I hope that my colleagues are going to support it, and so that we can do what we can for those children who don't have parents. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Should we have Honorable Mwangaza Kawira? That member seems to have taken leave. Honorable Kipiegon Ngeno. That member seems to have taken leave. Shall we have, you must have your card. For me to tell whether you have interest in speaking, no, unless there's a technical issue, because for me to tell who has an interest, I'll use my screen here. Yes, you have the floor, but the card needs to be fixed.
Onyango. Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for this opportunity, and I rise to support the bill before us, which is the Employment Amendment Bill. And it relates to giving an opportunity to adoptees of children an opportunity to enjoy both paternity and maternity leaves. And that is critical. Mr. Speaker, our Constitution that we midwifed and promulgated in 2010 pays great credence to Chapter 4 of the same Constitution, which talks about the Bill of Rights. It pays much attention to fundamental freedoms that we enjoy. And while crafting this most fundamental chapter, it was meant to abhor issues of discrimination. And a parent is a parent, adopted or otherwise. And if we are going to apply brakes on enjoyment of leaves, both paternity and maternity, to new parents, then that definitely amounts to discrimination, which this Constitution talks greatly about. So I support the issue that parents who have adopted children must equally enjoy 3 months for the mother to stay at home and tend for the kid or for kids, and as well 2 weeks to the father, in line with the Employment Act. And Mr. Speaker, related to that, we understand the importance of having jobs. Joblessness in this country has become a menace, and something therefore drastic must be done. Due to joblessness, we have seen cases of increments in crime, which then becomes a disaster to this country. Related to that, we have seen incremental issues of suicide out of desperation. And therefore, if we are going to treat people differently, then that is utterly unacceptable. Those who, in a bid to deter people from enjoying leaves, have consequently fired people from their places of work. And these are issues that have, in retrospect, created unwarranted deaths by way of suicide or frustrations by families, which in return have created divorce at the same time. And therefore, we must as a country, while looking at our laws in line with the powers given to us by Article 95 and 96 of the Constitution, look at laws that are proactive to the Kenyan people. Mr. Speaker, on a peripheral matter, we also must give jobs that mirror our qualifications. And I want to thank the government for the first time, through the Public Service Commission, they were able to provide internship jobs to most of our jobless youths who have attained trainings. And that is something that we must give the government a pat at the back. We all understand that 30 jobs per constituency will still not be enough, but the government needs to do a lot more, because the biggest employer in the world is the government. And now we have two tiers of government. We have both the county government and the national government, and they must work in collaboration to create jobs to the jobless Kenyans. Otherwise, it is a time bomb that when it explodes, then we shall have nowhere to run to or nothing as a recourse. So, Mr. Speaker, with all that, I support the adoption or passage of this most timely and incisive act of employment. And I
Thank you, Speaker, for giving me this chance to contribute to this very important debate. I want to support this and say we should also endeavor to make sure that at least we create employment to our children and also normal children, because when a kid finishes school and is not engaged in employment, the kid gets frustrated, and frustrations, depression begins to that particular kid. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. If we want to improve the living condition of our Kenyans, we cannot do that without simply creating employment. However simple it is, we should make sure that when our children complete education, at least they're engaged. They're engaged to that monthly pay, even if it is a small thing. They have to get the basics. Especially, they should be able to employ themselves, to feed themselves, to get shelter for themselves, to get the basic needs of a human being so that they can be acceptable members of society. I want also to challenge the government through Kenya Revenue Authority. When you are harassing people who are starting enterprises, you should know these through KRA. You better even give tax leeway for some time and make sure that you don't harass them. For example, recently we saw big organizations being harassed, the entrepreneurs being harassed. When you harass them, you don't consider the number of people they employ. For example, I give you a case. If you harass an entrepreneur who has employed about 1,000 people, you are forgetting these employees pay taxes in form of pay as you earn. They contribute to NHIF, NSSF, and all these. That is the basic thing the government should look at instead of the direct revenue that the entrepreneur pays at that particular point. So I want to contribute to this motion and say it is prompt, it is there. We have to make sure that at least we create this. Another thing, we should not also forget about the children who are in the street. Kenyans should come out strongly and make sure that no kids in our country should call streets their home. Because these kids, they survive like animals. It's like they went back to the forest. Imagine they eat, if they, maybe, for example, they snatch something, they eat from the dust, they eat from, you see, hopeless life. There is that vertical mobility for all Kenyans, because we cannot grow when we ignore some sector of our people. I support this particular motion.
Honorable David Ocheng.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was waiting to speak to this bill simply because I've seen what's been happening in the country, and you'd imagine that adoption is left for the foreigners. You'd imagine that adoption of children in this country is for people who are white in color, not the normal Kenyans. But the truth is, Mr. Speaker, that so many Kenyans indeed adopt children. So many Kenyans care for children. Mr. Speaker, in my formative years, before I went to the university, I used to teach at a children's home where we had more than 1,000 children, Mr. Speaker, picked from the streets of Nairobi, Nakuru, Eldoret, given a chance to go to school at a place in Dalani called the Muli Children's Home. Mr. Speaker, all these kids, more than 1,000, most of them could not trace their homes. Most of them didn't know their parents. Yet they had a place to go. But when they go to 17, 18, going to the university and going to colleges, most of them would want to leave and go elsewhere and all that, Mr. Speaker. And so what is important in this bill, Mr. Speaker, is to make it easier for us as Kenyans to adopt children and to recognize that parenting is a very important issue and adoption is part of parenting. And that if you've made a decision as a Kenyan to adopt a child, then the government would come in and make it easier for you to do so by giving you enough time, giving you enough room. Think through this, Mr. Speaker. Pre-adoption is a very important process in adoption, because then this is the time then you're going to check whether you really want to have this kid with you. And that's why you need this period to test compatibility, whether the child wants to stay with you. And so, the Honorable Wangari is saying, give parents or prospective parents a chance to acclimatize and to get used to this situation. And Mr. Speaker, you're not giving birth. you're just, be given a child that already is alive. And that's why you're saying that over and above the maternity leave and the paternity leave that parents get, you need to give parents a chance before they adopt so that they're able to make that decision whether they're going to do so or not. However, Mr. Speaker, my attention has been drawn to the proposed 29A, number 1C. Number 1B says that in case of a female employee who is married, the employee shall be entitled to 3 consecutive months pre-adoption leave with full pay from the date of the placement of the child. But C says that in case of a male employee who is married, the employee shall be entitled to 2 weeks pre-adoption leave with full pay. And I ask myself, why? Because the female employee isn't giving birth. He's taking care of a child that already has been born. So why would you discriminate between the female and the male employees? At the right time, Mr. Speaker, I'll be proposing that if you're giving the female employee 3 months, do the same for the male employee. Mr. Speaker, you know this because of your profession, that nowadays in considering where you're going to place a child, for example, in times of divorce or separation, so many things are considered. And sometimes you see children choosing to stay with their fathers. In most instances, indeed, children, courts grant custody to fathers. So I wouldn't know why the Honorable Wangari decided that this should be reduced to 2 weeks. You're giving one 14 days, and you're giving another one 90 days. Adoption is almost the same procedure. Parents need almost the same period of time to be able to acclimatize the kids. And so I would propose that the period being given be the same. Speaker, I also want to join with those who are proposing that there could be or there should be some incentives for such parents. You walk around this country and you see penury. You see how members of parliament every day you'll be thumped with requests for school fees, and most of it is from orphans. So if someone is willing to add one individual who is parentless to their family, so Speaker, I think government should be able to give incentives towards this. If it is not tax exemption, Mr. Speaker, then there could be things to do with housing, because you're housing an extra person and you're providing a service that Kenya needs to have. Taking care of our children is very important. And so I would propose, over and above, just giving the leave days, give some incentives that are within the reach of government, and also just encourage encourage employers that children of this country are the future of the country. Seeing them on the streets, seeing them out there suffering isn't what everyone else wants. And so having government-backed programs, having government-backed policy mechanisms, having government-backed tax incentives would signal to all of us that government means well for children and means well for those who are willing to take the extra energy and going the extra mile to take in one more person to be taken within the family environment. So, Speaker, I support with that rider that I'll propose an amendment to 3.
Shall we have Honorable Chepkut?
Speaker, I support this employment bill. Actually, Mr. Speaker, sir, the biggest challenge that Kenya government have is employment. There are many graduates who are not employed. That's why personally, I support the 4 agendas of His Excellency the President, particularly the manufacturing industry. That's why the government is very keen on TVET. TVET is indeed very key. It is a catalyst and an enabler in socio-economic development of our country. At the same time, they are training skilled personnel. This includes plumbers, mason, carpentry, just but to mention a few. But more importantly, parents and adoption of children is very important, because government must give, and us as members of parliament, we should endeavor at all times to make sure that we support objective policies which enhances creation of employment, particularly innovations, ICT hubs, ICT infrastructure, digital penetration, just but to mention a few. But Speaker, we must go into record that even these young people who are looking for employment are paying NHIF, NSSF, taxes. But we should, since we are empowered by the Constitution, Article 95, 96, we must have government incentives that will give hope to young graduates who are graduating in TVET institutions and institutions of higher learning, universities, but just but to mention a few. Anyway, having said that, recently, Mr. Speaker, sir, we had a very serious incidences in my own constituency. Young pupils were, you know, there are roads built by Chinese. Then they dug dams, then the children were dragged in, they all died. So according to powers given by us under Article 95 and 96, NEMA must issue authority to all dams in the Republic be taken good care of. Because at the same time, as much as they are building roads, our children who are innocent die. Anyway, having said that, Mr. Speaker, sir, street children must be taken over by government. We want vertical mobility, and we belong article in the preamble of our constitutions. The citizens and the people of the Republic of Kenya belongs to the government. So street children must be taken over by government. It is their responsibility. So at the same time, Mr. Speaker, I want to make it very clear that it is good to have progression. We have children, because you can, in the event of bright children, others will be very great professionals, others, particularly in our own land, others bring glory, honor, and recognition through running. We've got great athletes who bring a lot of glory in our own country. So it is important to take good care of our children. So employment, Mr. Speaker, we can create employment in different ways, by getting engagement, by being paid salary, others by, that's why I'm appealing, Mr. Speaker, that those who bring glory, they should be given tax exemptions. All athletes in the Republic of Kenya must be given tax exemption. At the same time, national government and county government must have good collaboration with counties in making sure that there is enormous observation of our graduates who are graduating from universities be observed in government, at the same time county governments. Today we've made great, we passed today approval of county government budget. We have approved, we are waiting for His Excellency to sign, then the counties will move on. So anyway, Mr. Speaker, we as members of parliament, we are sensitive to the needs and wants of our people. That's why we are very keen in making sure that we implement to the letter the government policies. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to submit and support. Thank you.
Very well. Shall we have Honorable Ali Adman, member for Lamu East?
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kuchukua fursa hii kuungana na wenzangu kuunga mkono mswada huu. Vile vile kuupongeza pakubwa kwa sababu swala la ajira ni swala nyeti kabisa linapozungumziwa. Ndiposa Mheshimiwa Spika utapata kwamba malengo ya mheshimiwa kuleta mswada huu amelenga masala ya wazazi ama kina mama wanaofanya kazi wakati wanapojifungua, namna watakapopata zile nafasi za kupumzika wakati wanapojifungua, pengine na namna watakavolea watoto wao zaidi. Lakini ukweli ni kwamba Mheshimiwa Spika, ndiposa utapata waheshimiwa wengi wanaposimama kuchangia mswada huu wanazungumzia neno ajira kwa ujumla katika nchi hii. Ukweli ni kwamba Mheshimiwa Spika, ile hali ya ajira katika nchi hii ni hali ambao yahitaji kupewa kipaumbele katika kuijadiliwa na namna itakavyopangwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu mzazi anapojifungua na mtoto anapozaliwa, ina maana kwamba mtoto yule ndio ameanza kuingia katika maisha ya leo. Malengo ni kwamba mtoto yule alelewe mahali atalelewa, na mwishowe mtoto yule yahitaji kupewa kazi, na tunajua vizuri namna nchi yetu vile ilivyo, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mimi katika kuchangia swala hili ambalo malengo ya mheshimiwa kuhusu mswada huu ni kwamba kuna dharura ya kina mama wakati wanapojifungua, wanaofanya makazi, wapewe muda wa kutosha ili kujipanga namna wataweza kuelekeza watoto hawa namna watakavyowalea. Naamini pakubwa muda ambao wamepewa ni muda wa takriban wa miezi mitatu. Mimi ningependa pia vile vile akina mama hawa baada ya kupewa muda wa miezi mitatu kuwe na namna ambazo watakuwa wanasaidika kikamilifu katika kuliangazia swala hili la watoto, kwa sababu mtoto, Mheshimiwa Spika, katika ile stage ya utoto ni katika wakati mwafaka muhimu sana ya namna ya kumlea na kumzingatia vile mtoto atakavyoleleka na mtoto atakavyoendelea na maisha yake. Mheshimiwa Spika, katika hali ya leo tunavyoiangalia, utapata ya kwamba vijana wengi wako katika ile hali wasiojitambua na kujielewa, na vijana hawa pengine wametupwa na mama zao, vijana hawa pengine hawajui hata wazazi wao. Ndiposa utapata leo hii ile data ya watu ambao vijana ambao hawana kazi imekuwa ni kubwa zaidi kwa sababu ya tatizo hili ambalo linaanza hapo awali, Mheshimiwa Spika, na makosa ambayo yanafanyika kuanzia mtoto anapozaliwa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hivyo sasa, hivyo basi, Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna muhimu na dharura pakubwa nchi hii kuwa na muongozo kamili ya kujua kwamba vijana wanaozaliwa na wanaoinukia na wanaosoma na hata wale ambao hawana kazi, ile data kikamilifu. Kwa sababu, Mheshimiwa Spika, sioni sababu ni nini nchi hii haina watu wengi. Tukiangazia idadi ya wanaoishi katika nchi hii ni watu takriban ambao wanafika katika ile kiwango ama wamefika katika ile stage ya kuwa wawe na kazi zao ni takriban milioni 40 ama na zaidi hivi kidogo, Mheshimiwa Spika. Lakini utapata kwamba idadi ya wale ambao hawana makazi, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni wengi sana, na hili pengine limesababishwa kule kwamba hatuna ile takrimu kamili ya kuonyesha ni vijana gani. Hivyo basi, Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kusema ya kwamba county government zote ambao tuko nazo 47 ni vizuri wawe na hizo data za kuonyesha kila county kuna vijana ngapi ambao hawana kazi na wanahitaji kazi, wamesoma kiwango hiki ama wamesoma kiwango kile, ili nchi hii, Mheshimiwa Spika, iwe na mwongozo. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni vyema jambo lolote lianze kuanzia mwanzo katika kwa njia zake na kwa utaratibu wake, Mheshimiwa Spika. Linapoanza kwa njia ambao ni ya makosa, ndiposa utapata kwamba hata huko mbeleni mambo mengi yanaenda kwa namna ambavyo sivyo, Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni dharura kubwa kwa nchi hii kuangazia mwelekeo na mwongozo wa wananchi wake, hususan vijana ambao tuko nao katika nchi hii, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hii hali namna inavyokwenda ni kwamba wengi wamekosa imani kabisa na nchi yao. Utapata wengine wanafanya mambo ambayo hayastahili kufanywa, wengine wanajiingiza katika mambo ambayo hayastahili kuingizwa, wengine wanakuwa na tabia ambazo si tabia njema katika jamii na nyinginevyo, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo, Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna dharura pakubwa nchi hii kuweza kuangazia na kuwa na mipangilio kikamilifu katika swala zima hili kwa wananchi wake na kwa jamii ambao tuko nayo, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hayo machache, Mheshimiwa Spika, naunga mkono mswada huu. Asante.
Next is Honorable Waweru Kiarie.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this extremely important and very timely bill by the Honorable Wangari Martha. And I've got to say that I do note, reading through the bill, that the Member of Parliament has actually done some good research and is making some very good proposals here. Mr. Speaker, as we understand, we've got a crisis of children in this country who do not belong to any form of family and end up being institutionalized. And the institutionalization of children in this country, Mr. Speaker, should be seen as a contributing factor to some of the social ills that we are seeing today. Mr. Speaker, a human being was made to belong to a family unit. A proper, full, complete, and whole human being is supposed to be accorded love, is supposed to be accorded the warmth of fellowship in a family that is complete. And when we think about adoption, it offers this opportunity to a child who does not belong to a nuclear family that they were born into. Now, Kenyans are realizing also that when we institutionalize some of these children, they're ending up not being brought up the way we would want our society to bring up its children. And so there is a big, buy-in into this whole idea of adopting children into families that already exist. And as such, I see this bill as very timely. Mr. Speaker, going into the details of the bill, I do realize that there is in the honorable member's provisions that she's giving here, she's suggesting that in section 29A, that an employee shall be entitled to 3 consecutive months pre-adoption leave with full pay from the date of the placement of the child. And the bill does tell us what this placement of the child is legally. However, in Part B, it continues to say that in the case of a female employee who is married, the employee shall be entitled to 3 consecutive months pre-adoption leave with full pay from the date of the placement of the child. And this sits very well with me, Mr. Speaker. However, when we get to Part C, the bill talks about in the case of a male employee who is married, the employee shall be entitled to 2 weeks pre-adoption leave with full pay. Mr. Speaker, this discrepancy for me does sound an alarm bell. And my proposal here is that I'm proposing that she should amend this so that there is parity between what is being accorded to a female employee and a male employee. Because when you think about it, this is a child who is being adopted into a family who has not been born into the family. And the duties that shall be undertaken by either a male parent who is adopting the child or a female parent who is adopting the child are equal. Because when you think about it, Mr. Speaker, we are not asking for the woman to take leave so that they can breastfeed a child, because this is not a child who has been born to them naturally. This is actually a child who they found already born and they are adopting into the family. So I do feel that there should be parity between the genders in this bill in a way that whatever is being accorded to a female employee who is adopting the child should actually be the same that is accorded to the male employee who is adopting the child. Mr. Speaker, with that little bill, I still feel that this is a very good bill, and it should be something that we embrace as Parliament and see to its full fruition. Mr. Speaker, I do believe that there are processes that need to be undertaken when you are adopting a child. And these processes are at times very tiresome. Some of them are actually very prolonged. Some of them are actually very grueling administratively, Mr. Speaker. And when you think about it, I believe that whether this individual is going to be a married individual or is going to be a single individual, they're going to be going through processes that can be very tiresome, and as such, they do require what is being provided for by the bill, with the addition that I am adding of parity between the two genders. Mr. Speaker, I believe, again, this bill is timely, coming hot in the heels of a cabinet decision that was that is requiring that we stop adoption of children by foreigners. And that is putting us Kenyans on the spot, because we realize that most of the adoptions that have been done in this country were being done by foreigners. And we as Kenyans now must step up to the plate and own our children who are born in situations that don't allow them to be in a family setup, and for us to bring them into families where they can grow up with good care, good love, and be brought up like normal children. With that, Mr. Speaker, I do believe that this is an amazing bill. It is timely, and I do support the Honorable Martha Wangari for this amazing bill with that small amendment on bringing parity between the two genders who shall be adopting. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Oudo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to this important bill before the National Assembly. Honorable Speaker, it's a matter that many of us had not given thought about it because typically the process of adoption in this country seems to have been a preserve of the very rich and the foreigners. Indeed, this brings into limelight the question of children. How do we get children to our family, induct them into our family, children that we have adopted? Honorable Speaker, I know the process of adoption at times is by choice. Sometimes it happens by accident or an act of God. But it seems the focus of this amendment is a process that is formal and natural process. Honorable Speaker, I support the amendments brought by Honorable Martha Wangari, Martha. But Honorable Speaker, I made a
Honorable Oudo, I'm afraid it is 1 p.m. You still have, when this is brought back, gets back to the order paper, you have 8 more minutes to complete your submission. Honorable members, for those still who are interested in speaking to this, we still have 2 hours, 15 minutes on this particular bill. So more members will get opportunity to speak to this. Honorable members, the time being 1 p.m., this House started adjourned till today, Wednesday, 18th September 2019 at 2:30 p.m.